Okay. Scroll up the video.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
See you dancing over there. Good evening, folks, and welcome to the Horror Hangout live stream. We got a fun show today for you guys. We got, as always, the Horror Miser Monty G.
Oh.
You got
What's up, Tommy?
Jen from Jen's Reviews from the Grave.
Have you paid your fines?
That's library Jen to you people.
I left him in my other pants.
well, I guess I can do we can talk about that. You and the Trash Picture Show I can talk to later.
Yay.
And we got a very special guest this month. We got Trivial Theater. Welcome.
Yay! It's so exciting
It's
to
their
be here.
second time on the show. Huh? Number two.
Yes, we love Triv so much we had to bring you back on twice.
Cheers.
My favorite non-sexual playmate. Although I totally thought he was a sexual playmate too. If I swung that way, you would be the first on my list.
Aww. I mean, I could probably make it as a body pillow, but I'm thinking that's probably not the best way to go about things.
Well, you could do better than me, let's be honest.
Oh.
But I
You're
tried.
privileged, huh?
See, this is the way why I love you guys. Yeah, starting
go
already.
there.
It can be a very dangerous combination.
Oh yeah, it totally would be. But a fun one.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, wait a minute. We got Tommy Lee Jones in the chat. So we're getting hitting the big time now.
Yes.
Woo, we did it.
So,
We got Sean. We got Sean Blue Digital,
Yes.
Taku Agogo, and Jump
Wanna-
Smash.
Everyone, I want to congratulate Sean for reaching 1,000 subs. Just did it. So congratulations to you, Sean. So
Job,
spread the word
Sean.
out there, Sean.
Congratulations.
Absolutely. That's a huge accomplishment.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
Hit the 1K club. All right, guys, we got a fun show tonight. We're talking all about our favorite horror novels to film adaptations. And so first thing we're going to talk about is what are some of our favorite horror films that were adapted from horror novels, our favorites, and then we'll get into our least favorite, of course.
Oh boy.
Triv, let's start with you, our special guest this month.
Cheers. I think the number is massive and it's always hard to kind of narrow it down. One of my top ones, and I actually just did a rewatch of it, was Wicker Man. Like just the night. I mean the 2000s one was the 2000s one.
Yeah, you're referring to.
I was hoping you weren't going to say that one.
No, but the 70s one is fantastic on every level. I can't say I've read the book, but I imagine Ritual looks like an incredible book.
Mm-hmm. It is.
I also like Dr. Sleep. Like that's just such a fantastic sequel. Like it kind of takes all of the good stuff from all of the Shining things and kind of smashes them together into a thing with Ewan McGregor, which is never a bad thing in my book.
I still haven't seen Dr. Sleep. I need to.
What?
Oh,
Me neither.
I haven't.
Got to watch it. Rose the hat. Rose the hat. Rose the hat. That's all I'm gonna say.
And they do a great job with it. Like it's such a dense book, and to be able to take that, I mean, it wasn't an easy thing for Mike Flanagan to kind of put together, and just the way he does it, I was impressed.
Yes. Mike Flanagan is an incredible director.
Oh yeah. Agreed. And the other one I've got is it's an old school one, but one of Hitchcock's first movies was called The Lodger, Story of London Fog, and it was kind of like a Jack the Ripper kind of a influence thing. It was from like the late 20s, but it was this incredible silent movie, and I got to see it in a theater with like the full orchestra. It was just such a cool experience.
Ooh.
Oh, I bet that was neat. That is
Oh.
cool. Got some good choices.
Oh well, yeah, no, I try.
I didn't know about that one.
Awesome.
Yeah, but that's kind of what I got. So
Very cool. Very cool.
Very good choices.
Yes, very good, very good.
thank you.
All right, Monty, what do you got?
Well, I'm pretty sure everyone knows that one of my favorite horror adaptation novels is The Exorcist. What a fantastic movie! You got to give credit. They did a pretty good job in William Friedkin's novel. The fact how they were able to adapt it and got mostly everything right as far as what was in the book and into the movie. So you got to give them very credit. Obviously, I'm going to actually go with 2017's It.
Oh,
Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 is one of my other ones. Because they actually do an even fantastic job, better than they did with the 1990 TV series movie that come out. That's because I can't stand that goddamn paper mache spider at the end of that one.
But Tim Curry.
Oh, Tim Curry was great. Tim Curry is great because it's amazing because when you look at Tim Curry's performance as opposed to Bill Skarsgård, I also compare them to Jack Nicholson and Heath Ledger's performance as the Joker. Both of them do different interpretations of those characters, but they still work.
absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as like you kind of break down like the miniseries from the 80s into the adult and kid versions. I know that there's a lot of like here and there on the adult version, or the adult part of the story versus the kid. Do you have a like one that stands out with either the adults or the kids on either set of movies?
I kind of like, because I know It Chapter 2, the one that came out, and then the following year that gets a lot of they didn't consider that as good as the first one, and I think that's because it's harder to make adults seem frightened as opposed to children. And I think that's the reason why the first one was so great, because it even outshines the original the miniseries, is because they did a great job of making not only Pennywise scary, but the kids actually be afraid of him. You can actually see the fear in the kids, and they really didn't do a good job on that on the adults. And I think there was a couple of I can't remember the characters' names, because I think they didn't make the adults seem scarier as opposed to in the first one, but it still was scary. I mean, you still have that fear factor. And of course, I think a lot of people didn't like the CGI effects in the third act of the It Chapter 2. It was better than that goddamn paper machete. I mean, I understand it's TV and you have a limited budget, but you could have done better than that.
I think we need to talk about the deeper issue of you and paper mache spiders.
I mean, put it this way, I see my fair share of bad practical effects, obviously from Godzilla's to even the good old Ultraman, Johnny Sacco, and the Space Giants. We all know those are just guys in rubber suits, but it looked more believable than that goddamn paper mache spider. I mean, come on now, they could have done something better than that.
But Monty, the thing you're forgetting though is that it did the movie did leave out one big part of the book. Is anyone as mad as I am that we did not get the orgy scene that we got in the book with the kids? You know how they kind of soften it up.
Clearly you.
I knew she's gonna bring it up.
Oh god.
I am super pissed. Like I was like, I am robbed here. Like, because he goes into such detail in the book, and that's something most people, when we're talking Stephen King, I know we're going to be talking about it later, but that's one thing that nobody talks about, that part of Stephen King. Why was that in the book? Because they're children, and it's basically an essential big gang bang. And thank you, Spooky J.
I will only say this, and as you say, we're going to get more to it, but there are a lot of things that King does very well. Sex scenes, in most cases, are not really
With children, Trim. Let's not tiptoe this around.
that is part of it. That I didn't want to like go into too much, but yeah, that is a massive part of that.
They got it so wrong, guys. They got it so wrong.
Maybe we need to let Jen direct it, her version of it. The director's cut.
I love you guys, but I'd probably be in jail.
Pennywise shows up in chaps.
I mean, come on, man. At least they let what I think it's Sophia Little, strip down into her bra and panties and leap into the lake that they all leaping into.
Yeah.
That I was not surprised that they decided to omit that. And obviously in the miniseries they were not going to show that, but I knew they was not going to put that in the movie.
Yeah, that would have been weird. Oof. Oof.
Talk about a horror movie.
Yeah. Yes, Spooky J. It was weird to put that in the book.
I love how that's what everyone's saying. Everyone who's a massive King fan, we just sort of go, yeah, that was problematic. Hey, you guys have read Pet Sematary, right? Moving on.
We all kind of do the Homer Simpson thing where we we're make our way back into the bushes because we don't want to talk about it.
Back away.
Yeah, no, we did get a nice Easter egg of the interdimensional space turtle.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah. I need more interdimensional space turtle in my future King adaptations. That's all I'm going to say.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think a few people have felt that way. I think there's even a petition.
I would not be surprised.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I'm not kidding. I'm pretty sure there is one.
Really?
I think so. I could be wrong, but I remember it's one of those things you kind of scroll past. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. But none of those assholes would sign my petition to put in for the gangbang scene from it. None of those assholes. I signed their petitions, but did any of them sign mine? No.
I can see people picketing outside the Universal Pictures. Put the gangbang scene back.
The gangbang scene in.
We have gone places in the first 15 minutes of this thing that I didn't expect to see until the last 25. So thank you, Jen.
I wasn't gonna bring it up, but Monty brought it up, and I'm just like, no, we gotta talk about this because I'm very passionate about my children gangbanging scene in it.
Oh, not to go off topic. I actually saw Children of the latest Children of the Corn.
Oh.
The newest remake.
The newest remake.
Yeah. What is this, number 7? Oh,
we're past 7.
Oh no, I mean the remake of the first to reboot the series.
The second remake, right?
It's the third adaptation that they come out with, and not that the first one was mind blowing or great. I mean, it was okay. But the sci-fi one, that was terrible, and this one was.
Where did it show
I'm
up?
waiting for Christian to get back. That's the only reason we haven't done a review on it. I'm waiting for Christian because we have an idea for that when we're going to do a very special review on that one.
Oh, it's going. I can't wait to see it.
It's just one franchise I never thought should have been the franchise. I never saw any need to have a second.
Try reviewing all those movies, Sean.
I don't understand it. Why? I mean, it's just like with Amityville. Why did they make why did they make a sequel? The first, like I said, not the first one was a box office hit. It's like, and then they kept making them. It's like, and none of them was already good.
Amityville Van Vibrator's pretty all right. I kind of liked that one.
Yeah, Amityville in space. You got Amityville Karen.
There was a lot of buzz about that one, and the buzz was real.
Amityville Shark.
Totally.
Yeah.
My glasses were fogging. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh my goodness! I will say, being from the Midwest, as a true certified child of the corn, I can tell you that corn is not that interesting.
You guys don't have a He Who Walks Behind the Rose?
We do, but we don't mention him because he's boring. He goes down to the local dive bar every Friday night and he just sits there. He's like, if anyone sits next to him, he like phases them out of existence, but or puts him up on a big cross. But that's kind of it, Sometimes he does his thing and he's got like his child followers, but they're not allowed into the bar, so he just kind of says, eh.
He's just a deadbeat father, isn't he? He's got the kids on the weekends.
Absolutely. And he doesn't even do a good job. He doesn't pay child support. He, hangs out on the corner. Like, it's just pathetic.
I might have had children with the. Tell me who their names are. I might have had a child with one of these guys.
Oh, you can't trust any ID he gives you. It's all corny.
Yeah.
That was awesome. That was good.
I know. Get Lee McCoy to do his drum roll.
It's a real tassel hassle with him. So.
Aw, shucks, Triv. Aw, shucks.
Sometimes you have to stalk him to get, any payments.
Oh, man.
I wish Marty were here. He loves puns.
No, he'd be having fun. Oh.
So I was just going to mention a couple of my favorites. I'm going to say certainly the Hellbound Heart
Clyde Barker.
turned into, of course, Hellraiser, Clyde Barker.
Excellent.
And, you could even say the remake, too, was very good. And maybe even more accurate to the book. But I always go for the 80s version, of course. I love the original Hellraiser. It's freaking amazing. Mm-hmm. And, he actually directed that movie. So
yeah.
Always a plus.
It's amazing. The first two movies are amazing. The rest of them, but the first two are amazing.
I agree.
Oh, come on. You can't say that, like, having a guy with a CD player, like, shooting discs and killing people that way in 3.
3's fun. It's not.
Oh, man.
It's fun.
What about in space, Triv? What do you have positive to say?
That's when they lost me. That's when they lost me.
If I could raise my hands right now, I would pull a thing from Venoms, the Deadly Venoms over on Knight's channel, but I presently cannot lift my arm, so I can't. I can't do it.
Oh yeah.
Other than to say,
I'll do it. We have this thing on Deadly Venoms when we were talking about the guy goes. He doesn't mean space. Strange Monkey put that up on there, and we all would go like this.
Yeah.
And Trip could actually raise her arms on the avatar.
Yeah, right now I've worked out this morning, so I can't raise my arms. It's just they're kind of stuck at my sides presently.
Oh,
otherwise they'd fall off.
Oh man.
Another one I'd say is Rosemary's Baby.
Very good. I was going to bring
Ira 11.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent adaptation.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a sequel to that?
Yeah. What happened?
Well,
to
yeah,
Rosemary's
there was a
Baby?
TV.
It was
sequel.
a TV remake.
Whatever happened to Rosemary's Baby? Right?
Not good.
Yeah.
Not good.
So typical adaptation of a popular movie,
Yeah.
not being produced by William Castle. Therein lies the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Very much so.
Also, there was the remake miniseries with Rihanna.
Oof.
Yeah,
I think it was Rihanna, wasn't it?
No, it was somebody. No, I think it was.
Oh no, it was the girl from Avatar, I think.
Yeah, no.
Oh, Zoe Saldana.
Zoe Saldana. Yeah, she was the one that did the remake. Never saw it, but I heard a lot of people did not like it.
Yeah.
No.
But the movie's one of my favorite.
Speaking of
ever.
Strange Monkey.
Hey, what's up, man?
Hey,
Woo-hoo.
Strange Monkey. Yeah. Hey, Strange Monkey. We did our favorite thing from the Deadly Venoms.
And lastly, I know Jen will like this one. I know she loves the TV show, Interview with the Vampire.
Yes!
And right.
Oh yes. Yeah, she loves the TV miniseries. Yes.
Oh, I love that show. Oh my God. They throw instead of throwing clothes out the window, they throw a fucking coffin out the window. It is so glorious, amazing. Oh my God.
Tell us how you really feel.
And Rice is also going to show up later on my list.
I can understand that. I can understand that, Sean. Sean, have you seen the TV series yet? No kidding.
No, I still haven't. I have to, because I don't know. I'm gonna have to figure out how to get it. I don't have that channel.
Oh, I gotcha. Do you prefer the movie over the book to Interview with a Vampire?
Yep, I do. It's
Yeah.
been forever since I've read. Sorry.
Oh no, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, that was it. I it's one of those things where there's always things in the book that versus things in the movie, and you could nitpick it, but you say, okay, both are solid.
Yes.
Kind of take it from there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Spooky J says he's never been a big fan of Rosemary's Baby.
I can
Oh,
understand
come
that.
on.
Is it because of the
Killing me,
director?
man.
Is it because of the director?
Director.
I get that.
Some good picks though.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what are some of the worst horror films adapted from horror novels? Triv.
Sean, can I mention mine?
Oh, yeah, go ahead, Jen.
Sorry. Sorry. I have a few. And actually, Triv reminded me of one that wasn't even on my list because you brought up Mike Flanagan, and I can't believe I didn't think of this, Gerald's Game. And what impresses me so much about Gerald's Game is when I read the book, I always thought, okay, this is one that they're never going to be able to do a movie on because I thought, how could you do a story? Because basically she's tied up to the bed for most of the book. And I thought, there is no fucking way we could do a good story, even a story, but let alone a good story. And Mike Flanagan proved me wrong. That one I was super impressed with just because I thought
Me too.
Oh yeah. I never read the book, but I love what he did because I can imagine having doing those scenes and handcuff almost like all the way through to the movie.
Oh man.
Yeah,
and to keep it interesting, definitely.
I know they really do.
Yeah, he does, and I just thought there's no way that they could make this an interesting movie, but he did, and he was still very faithful to the book. That was Mike Flanagan is just a perfect fit for Stephen King. He is.
Oh, absolutely.
He really is. Another book that I really want to talk about that I did not know was based, I didn't know the movie was based off a book, Found. Todd Kenry wrote it. And you guys, they also did Headless. And he also wrote Glorious, the movie that just came out a while, Glorious. But Found, if you guys have not seen Found, oh my God, it is one of my favorite movies. And the novel is very gritty, very brutal, I think even more so than the movie. I don't know if any of you guys have seen Found, but I highly recommend Found, both the book and the movie.
Where can you find it?
The book you can get it on Amazon, and the movie there are places you can stream the movie on. And it's about a little. Oh, sorry, Monty.
What year did it come out, Jen?
I'm not sure. I'm sorry, I did not do that research. The book came out in 2007, 9, somewhere in there. Maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong. But it's an amazing, it's about, and if you guys haven't seen, I don't know if anyone's seen it, but it's basically about a little boy. He's like a 12-year-old little boy, comes from a dysfunctional family. There is love in it, which I like. And his parents they love him, but they're distracted with their own problems. And he has this older brother who he loves, and the older brother's the only one that's kind of kind to him. The little boy's a weirdo. He likes horror movies and all that kind of stuff. And then he finds out the one person in the world that he loves the most is a serial killer and keeps heads in in a bowling ball bag in his room, and it goes down from there. Then we get into depressing shit.
Oh, that's not that. We haven't gotten to that part yet.
No. I'm not going to spoil it for you, but I strongly recommend watching it because everyone loved that movie so much. The director went on to write a movie called Headless, which is very different in tone from Found, but a lot of people love Headless as well. So.
Well, if you're not going to keep your extra heads in a bowling bag, what is the point of having a bowling bag, really?
It is, and I don't want people to, because it's very nuanced. It's not it's blood and gory, but it also it really hits you in the feels because it shows how a dysfunctional family works and stuff, and like you kind of understand how this kid became what he became, and it also shows the humanity of the kid because he's a horrible person. He kills women and stuff, but if you knew his backstory, and he is loving to his little brother, like there's some good in everybody. It kind of shows that it doesn't give you exactly sympathy, but you can definitely have some empathy for this character, which is in the book and in the movie. It both shows that, and they do it very well.
Yeah, it came out in 2012.
Yes, thank you, Monty. Thank you. But it's one I recommend people reading.
Nice. Yeah, it's based upon the novel by Todd Ridgey.
Yeah,
it's the same name.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and it's good. And he also wrote Glorious. He also wrote Glorious, the movie that just came out, I think, last year. So yeah.
Great choices. Very interesting.
I have more, but we'd be here for a while. So I have a lot more.
Yes. So some of the worst. Sorry, I skipped you, Jen.
It's okay. No problem.
Yes, some of the worst films adapted from horror novels. Trivial Theater. What do you got?
Well, so this one's a bit of a stretch, but bear with me. You know, the Amityville, the original book was incredible, but I will say that Amityville Vibrator was a letdown for me. It really didn't use any of the source material.
It didn't hit the spot, Trish.
You straightened it.
It hit the spot, but I was aiming for something a little more juicy. You know, I needed the girthiness of the original, and I didn't get that in this.
Was there a novel for that?
Well, the Amityville Horror, you know, being that everything, you know, all the movies that came after that had Amityville in the name, I went in assuming that it was going to be based on some part of, you know, the source novel. Sorry.
I don't think you're
that
going to
ship
get
sailed long time ago.
I don't think you get anything with a title like the Amityville Vibrator.
Oh,
Sorry.
think outside your box, Monty.
Yay! You need to have that on a t-shirt.
Oh man.
Audio
apologize. I couldn't help myself.
Get the audio book.
As far as other ones, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, like the 07 Invasion of the Body Snatchers was, oh god, such a letdown. And I actually saw that before I saw the 70s one, so it was.
You mean the one with Nicole Kidman?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
We're gonna be funny. You should mention Nicole Kidman. One of my worst movies has Nicole Kidman in it.
Ooh.
That's kind of sad.
And the other one that I had, it's not horror initially, but I'm always a big fan of when horror kind of goes outside of its box. And so there was a book done back in the, I think, the early 2000s called Pride and Prejudice and Zombies.
Yes.
And it was such a great book. Like, basically the author went in and, like, on every single page he added something. He didn't necessarily take away, he just reinterpreted, or that was his goal. And I was so excited when I saw the movie was coming out based on that. And it was so underwhelming, and it didn't take advantage of the source material. It could have been so cool. And I know it's not a traditional horror thing, but it kind of, I don't know. It could have been something really fun and gory and awesome, and it just fell flat. So that's
it came and went pretty quick, didn't it? Like, nobody seemed to like it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and it lacked a lot of the punch of the original, and that was sad. It could have been something cool, but anyway.
You think because it's some literature, even though I understand what they were trying to do with the comic book version of Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies, you think because of what it's really based on, you really can't transition that into film?
Well, you see, the period piece part of it isn't that hard to adapt. You see that done pretty regularly. The zombie part of it, they tried to take it. I think what happened was they tried to take it too badass. They took it more in the kung fu direction instead of the awesome zombie horror direction. And they just left out pieces like they got zombies to be distracted by a field of cauliflower. And it's such a small thing, but it's stuff like that, these touches that made it so unique and fun, and then they go in there and they massacre all these zombies. And it lacked that. You have a movie about zombies. Kill them! Make it gory!
What a novel idea!
I don't give a shit about how many dresses, Elizabeth Bennet wears while kicking ass. Give me freaking violence!
I love fashion as much as any gal does, but I'm with you on that. When it's a zombie movie, I'm not so focused on what they're wearing.
Right,
cool,
exactly.
But not what I'm here for.
Right, go to a ball, but slaughter zombies on the way. Wear a red dress so it hides the blood.
Yes.
Have a brain as an accessory. It works.
That what? Oh, I want a brain accessory now. I might have to do some looking.
I have faith that you will find it. If anyone can find it, Jen, it's you.
I'm actually thinking like a brain bag would be kind of cool. A colostomy bag would be kind of cool too, but the smell.
I'm sure there's something like that out there.
What can Brown do for you?
Exactly.
Oh man, kid Trev, killing it with the puns tonight.
Sorry.
Yeah, I discovered earlier that brown is kind of my color, so it's a possibility.
Monty G, what do you got? What are your choices for least favorite horror
Trip just
novel adaptations?
Yeah, Trip just reminded me of that one because I was going to pick because I was trying to figure out which one I was going to choose, and this is the one because I was actually looking for Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies because I remember the graphic novel when it first came out. And I said, "Wow, I'm pretty sure a lot of Jane Austen's probably turning it over a grave. How dare you take my literature novel and put zombies in it?"
Or she might have been going, yes, finally. Maybe she wanted that, and the censors at the time said no.
Actually, she was rather like I remember seeing a thing from the guy that wrote it. I think his name was Seth Graham Smith something, Seth Graham something. But he did an interview with a lot, and talking about the reaction to the movie, and he was saying that she was not a proper lady. She wrote about this stuff, but she was also quite scandalous for the time. Yes. So although the zombie thing may not have been up her alley, she wasn't someone that was just a proper lady who had tea, and wore all the stuff and, didn't keep a dagger in her hair,
Mm-hmm. And it seemed like they had the great idea of including zombies in this work. But you're right, Triv, the kung fu aspects of it, maybe because, and no offense to what's her name, Lily James. I mean, no offense to her. She doesn't seem like a woman that can actually kick zombie ass.
But that's half the thing. You can be a refined lady and still, kick quite a lot of ass. She's hiding it in her bodice.
Mm-hmm.
Damn it.
Rick breaks her foot.
I knew I forgot something tonight.
Uh-oh. And let's see, what was the other one? There was something else. I can't remember. I'll think about it. I'll come back to that one.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
How about you, Jen? What do you got?
I've got a few, and I guess I'll start out with one. I just finished the book last night in preparation for this stream. I was kind of lukewarm to this movie, but after reading the book, I have so many issues, and that would be Knock at the Cabin. What the fuck was Shyamalan doing? Did he even fucking read the book? Like, I won't spoil it for you guys, but let me tell you, there are some big changes from book to movie, and I can understand, like, I sort of understand what he's doing in all seriousness, because I guess he wanted a more hopeful look. And I know a lot of people came out of that movie and said that's exactly what they got. And they kind of like, there's hope for humanity. The book, not so much. And I really vibe with the book better because it's a more of a downer. And the movie, just the more I think about it after I read the book, the more I'm like, I really don't like the movie. It's not egregiously bad, but if you're a fan of the book, then fuck you, Shyamalan. I feel like he was trying to make it a mass market appeal and like, everyone, it's rainbows and sunshine and humanity's great. Sometimes that happens, but not always. So I would strongly recommend reading the book because that movie was a big bleh. It's the not horrible.
Streak continues, huh? Shyamalan.
Yeah, it's okay. Like the movie itself is okay, but if you've read the book, then you're gonna have problems with it.
So, your friend's in here, Trib.
Hey Dan.
Hey Dan.
What's going on, Dan?
What's up?
Hello.
So did Shyamalan at least pronounce everybody's names right, where he didn't do like the Avatar thing where he's like, Ong.
He did do that right. It's just I wonder if he actually read the book. Yeah, what Spooky J said. Yes, I hate what he did to the ending. Completely misses the point of the original. Thank you. I guess I'm not the only one who thought. I thought that when I read the book. Like, you missed the boat, dude. You really did. And
Yeah,
I also. Oh, sorry, Money.
I didn't read the book, so I don't know if the end. I'm assuming that the ending in the movie is different than the book.
Yes. A lot. There's some big changes. And like, see, the movie, when I was watching the movie, I kind of was more like I told Christian the problem I have with this movie, then this was before I read the book, was like the one character says, humanity ain't worth it, and stuff like that. And I was kind of thinking to myself, I see where this guy's coming from, especially if you know the backstory with him. Yeah, I see where this guy's coming, but like, I think he wanted to give a more hopeful, kind of thing, which is a good message, but sometimes you need the brutality in life too. Life ain't all sunshine and rainbows, kiddies.
That might have been a
Rocky
studio
says.
thing too.
The philosophy of Rocky Balboa.
basically another movie that is egregiously bad, and it's an author you brought up, Sean, the author from Rosemary's Baby, because they also did Stepford Wives. Now, I'm not talking about the original. I am talking about that
The
goddamn
Nicole
remake.
Kidman.
That fucking abomination with Matthew Broderick and Nicole Kidman. Oh my fucking god! What the fuck were they doing with that one? Hell, get it away! Get it away!
You mean Jessica Simpson isn't an ATM?
No, it's not. And
Damn
that's
it.
not the fucking point. Again, talk about missing the point of that book. And I get we're trying to do more comedy, but it really wasn't that funny. Am I the only one who didn't think it was all that funny? I didn't think it was funny.
I
What
thought it
movies
was
is it again?
terrible.
Yeah, what movies is it again?
The Stepford Wives, the remake.
Oh,
of
the
it.
Stepford
Not
Wives.
the
Oh.
original.
Yeah. It was okay. I mean, put it this way, it doesn't top the 1970 original film.
Mhm.
With I think
No,
with
no,
Sharon,
it doesn't. Not anywhere. And
I think
it
with
doesn't
Sharon
have
Glass
a-
was in that one.
I think so.
Was in it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, with Sharon Glass. And yeah, I mean, it's like this when you do a remake and you try to put your own spin on it. And I didn't mind what they tried to do, but I don't know, maybe because I can't see Matthew Broderick being a douchebag. That's the only problem.
I've heard he is in real life. I don't know, but I've heard he kind of is.
Well,
in
he's
real
married to Sarah Jessica Parker, so what does that tell you?
life.
I think the big thing with that one was like they couldn't. I guess it was my issue with it. They couldn't come to an idea of what they wanted the Stepford Wives to be. Were they
Yes.
machine replacements? Were they brainwashed? Were they? They kept mixing their message, and it was hard to tell what was what.
Yeah, I know
I
that
think they
was
wanted
a
the
bit.
best
good
of both
point.
worlds. I think they wanted the best of both worlds. That's why they kept it kind of ambiguous. I didn't mean to cut you off, Monty.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like with disturbing behavior. Disturbing behavior got it right. That was decent. I like how they did that. Sort of
Yeah.
a different twist on the Stepford Wives version. But
Yeah.
I don't know. Sometimes you just sometimes when you think you have something and you read it down great, and then you comes up with, what are you gonna do?
I have one more, and then I promise I'll get off my soapbox. And I'm not. And again, it's the remake. It's not. I fucking adore the original, but the remake of Pet Cemetery.
Oh,
I know everyone hates on that one.
I know, and like, to be fair, is it the worst thing ever? But the things that I have problems with, and I'll give the movie this, like, besides of the marketing spoiling, most people going in knew what the twist was. It was a good idea. It subverted our expectations, and had we not known about it, but everything else about that movie, it was such a hollow, bland thing. And God, John Lithgow was sleepwalking. I know he had big shoes to fill with the original actor that played Judd Crandall, Fred
Yeah, Fred.
Winnie, but
Yeah.
but I mean, he just was sleepwalking. He didn't do anything interesting. I mean, he was sleepwalking through that movie. And I mean, we didn't. Pascal might as well not have even been in it. It was a horrible movie. Like, and I listened to you. You did such a good thing with Joe and Jason the other night about positive spins and not being so negative. But goddamn, Monty, that movie pissed me off.
And that's a shame because John Lithgow is such a good actor. You would expect him to be like nail that.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Because I think both Joe and Jason did a positive spin on that version of Pet Cemetery. I didn't see that one. didn't have much of a problem. Yeah, the whole thing was ruined by the fact that in the trailer, we find the main twist, and I think that
Yeah.
kind of really um, ruined everyone's expectations of the film because that twist got spoiled.
Mhm.
And like I said before, look, I don't mind if you want to do a twist, something totally different that's not even in the novel. That's good. That's a great
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah.
You can make the story go many different ways. I like the fact that they tried to incorporate a little bit more in the movie than what we saw in the 84 version.
Yeah, but 80, no, 89, I believe.
Yeah,
89.
89 version,
Yeah.
yes. And I like the fact they tried to include a little bit more as far as the mythos that Stephen King had in the book than they did in the movie. But again, it's like, the ending kind of,
Yeah.
Yeah.
The ending was that's a good one. That's exactly, kind of, that's exactly how you put it. But I actually didn't have a problem. In fact, I actually thought it was a missed opportunity because I thought it was interesting because one of the things, Gage was so young. Like, I like the fact that we did it with an older child so we could kind of get it from their perspective as opposed to a younger child. They could have really played around and done some really interesting things. I actually liked that they kind of traded Gage for Ellie. But the problem with this is that the rest of the movie just felt, it was so flat and so by the numbers and just didn't have that. There's something. Pet Sematary is a movie that means a lot to me, and that's a movie that rips your goddamn heart out. Even if you're not a parent, and if you're a parent, oh my god.
Right.
But they really dropped the ball with that one. That one was just bad. I hate
Well,
that.
the thing is too, it has such a reputation to live up to. I mean,
Yeah.
you've seen there are ones that do it well, like was it 2013 Evil Dead? Like they took
Yes.
what had been done previously, they did it right, at least
did.
to
Right.
me. They kind of took it on its ear. They kept a lot of the stuff, but they subverted expectations, and they did a great job. It's like this. They did do that, but they let the cat out of the bag, let it run out into the highway and get run over by several large trucks.
Yes.
Sometimes dead is better.
Dan, I like the Carrie remake. So sorry.
Gas.
Oh.
Wow.
I like the Carrie remake. I had no. The only problem I think with them casting Chloe Grace Moretz, she's too cute. She's too cute. Even to try to make her homely look, and she still look cute.
But see, the thing is, if you've read the book, like there's a description about Carrie White, like the one guy, her heartthrob, kind of, he's never really looked at her. It's just what everyone else says, and he kind of takes a good look at her and realizes, oh, she's not that repulsive. She's not ugly. It's just everyone. That's just what she's been labeled with so long that's what everyone perceives her as. But there's a passage in the book where he takes a good look at her and he's like, oh, she's not half bad. So
They're looking at her with ugly colored glasses.
basically,
Yeah.
Yep.
Or maybe drunk or beer goggles, maybe.
Beer goggles, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what everyone's problem with the remake of Carrie. I mean, yeah, I know she's not Sissy Spacek, and I wouldn't expect her to be, but I have no problem with how she played the role. And I actually thought that Julian Moore actually did a pretty good job in portraying Margaret.
Yeah, I did too.
Mhm.
I'll give you that. I did too.
She was the best part of it. Yeah.
She was having fun with the role. You could tell.
Oh, she's definitely
Yeah.
having, yeah.
She was.
Well, and the oh god, whoever played the mom in the original two, whoever played Margaret Piper Laurie, yeah. I mean, she was a standout for that too. That role just allows you to be evil and just malicious on a level that you don't normally see in a lot of movies.
Yeah, and it showed how mad she was too. I thought she handled the insanity because she was mad. She was fucking. The religion literally made her fucking cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, and she handled it. Really
that never happens. What are you talking about? Come on.
Oh yeah, there is one novel that I was very disappointed in. That's Queen of the Dam.
Ah.
That was gonna be my pick.
Yeah, Queen of the Dam. Yeah, talk about a disappointment. Not that I was expecting anything.
But Aaliyah.
Yeah, exactly. All right.
And it was kind of sad because I expected Aaliyah to do pretty well, but she was hampered by a terrible script.
Yes, it was. She did pretty good for what she had to work with.
And unfortunately, her and what's this guy? Scott, I can't remember the guy. Stuart Townsend. They have no chemistry.
Which is hard to
And-
believe. Like you look at her and how anyone with a pulse couldn't have a chemistry. I mean, just look at her. R.
know.
Kelly sure had a thing for her.
And he
No,
believed
no.
he could fly when he was with her.
Exactly. Exactly. But and he also believed age wasn't nothing but a number.
Yeah.
See,
I didn't like the guy that played Lestat. It was terrible.
Yeah, Stuart Townsend.
And to make him like a cheesy like rock star or something, like, no, what is this? Come on now.
Actually, in the book though, that he was so yeah, that was part of the book.
Doesn't make it good.
Like again, miscast.
And I'm sorry, Sean, I just turned into one of those people. Well, actually, it was in the book.
Ooh, it was in the book.
Fucking glasses. Just turned into one of those assholes. I'm so sorry, Sean.
And it's not possible for you to be an asshole. You're too cool for school.
Christian and Marty would probably disagree with me.
What do they know? They're men.
Yeah, that's true.
Another one I'm gonna say is I know my wife likes this one. It's very romanticized version of the story. Mary Shelley's Frankenstein.
The one with
Really?
one with Kenneth
Rob
Branagh.
De Niro and you know.
Oh,
I'm not saying it's a bad movie, but it's my least favorite of that story, you know.
is it
Did he-
because
did
it
he-
is kind of on the romantic side of it a little
Yeah.
too much? Is it?
Probably.
I didn't get a romance out of that one. Cause didn't Kenneth Branagh? Didn't he wrote and directed that film?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, because I don't know what he was trying to attempt to do in that film. I know he wanted to modernize it. Mr. Dance is a bad movie.
Well, you know, when you have a man and his robot, you know, or his Evil Dead corpse thing, you know, the love between those two, you can't define that, and that is hard to show on the silver screen, you know.
They needed to take a page out of Brokeback Mountain. Kind of fixed it. Like a cowboy, but fucking cadaver. Like he's a scientist.
Are you
cowboy.
saying that Jake Gyllenhaal is Frankenstein's monster?
Yes, I am. Yes, exactly. That is what. And they should have had the line, "I wish I knew how to quit you."
Oh
As he
man.
like sews the final couple things on his head. I must find you the right size penis.
This one's dead, damn it! This one's dead.
I
No.
tickled it.
Igor, what was the name of this penis in the jar? Abby Normal? You gave me an Abby Normal penis!
Oh man.
Oops, I downloaded the wrong Frankenstein movie.
God damn it.
Shouldn't that be a mem or something?
Marty would be shaking his head right about now.
I'm sure he's falling in his sleep. God damn it, Jen.
God damn it, Jen.
I'm proud of you, Jen. I miss you.
You know, Viagra injections like that. You bring up the thing that needed Viagra injections. Live, damn it! It's alive! It's alive!
Oh man.
Oh
You make me want to see Black Frankenstein now.
man. Oh man, that's so awesome.
That is.
You know, Frankenstein was saying "Oh God" for a lot of reasons, but
I will say I did like Robert De Niro's performance in the movie. I will give it that. Like you,
Yeah,
but you
I
can't,
didn't.
like how come?
I don't know. I just didn't like it. It wasn't one of his better roles. It felt like he was miscast.
I get that.
Mhm.
did he have a new? I've never seen that version. Did he have a New York accent? Because I'm thinking if he goes across and goes,
No.
"Hey, I'm
No.
walking here."
See, it would have been better if he had. I was thinking that too. I would have felt like a wise guy Frankenstein.
Like gangster Frankenstein.
Right, 'cause-
Yeah, gangster Frankenstein and a classic Shakespearean taught director. That's gonna be an interesting mix.
And Joe Pesci is Igor.
Oh God.
Yes, boss, yes.
Hey, we're the good Frankensteins.
Can you believe that this day and age? Fucking prejudice against zombies.
Hey, Victor, I hate things. I hate things.
Ray Liotta shows up randomly. He's like, I gotta go to get torches, and then I gotta go get pitchforks, and then I gotta go check the spaghetti.
Well, he could play the zombie. God, that's bad. I'm going to hell.
I mean, does he have a good penis? Because that would be the place to start with that.
I've heard he does.
Yeah, put like Marissa Tomei as the bride or something.
Oh,
That biological clock is ticking.
imagine your corpse.
Your biological clock stopped ticking about 20 hours ago.
Reading's fun.
The more you know.
Magic.
And I didn't like how they kind of weeded in the bride Frankenstein story in there too. It
Yeah,
felt like it was kind of rushed and
Yeah, that's the one part I didn't like. Why didn't they include Bride of Frankenstein this one? It's like the novel does not include anything with the bride, you know. So I don't know why he decided to put that one on there.
like they shoehorned it in there.
I think to get more audiences, like they thought they could add people that were fans of that as well. I think it was trying to draw people in. Probably.
Well, and how many people at that time probably assumed that because there was a Frankenstein, there was probably a Bride of Frankenstein as a novel?
Yeah, that's true. Hell, even now, probably some people think that.
Oh, if anything else, there's more people now that say that.
Probably.
Yeah,
Right.
probably.
No, people. There is no novel called The Bride of Frankenstein.
Let Monty G educate you.
What do you mean, Monty?
Oh yes, the bride with Sting. Remember that?
Oh yes.
Fucking Oprah's book club. Ever since she did A Million Little Fibers, you just can't trust her.
Could you trust her? No kidding.
You
All right, guys.
You never read Josh Triv?
I haven't. I've seen the movie plenty of times, but never the book. So
It's good. It's good.
and
good.
and
It's
Dan
good.
brought it up as it being like the book has nothing to do with the movie.
Yeah, there's Steven Spielberg. There's a lot of stuff in the movie that he doesn't include in the book.
And the author actually felt bad for writing it because, you know, people kind of started a thing with sharks and stuff.
Sure.
And so he did try to mend his ways, and he would do a lot of advocacy, educating people about, you know, that sharks aren't all that bad and we shouldn't, you know, try to hunt them mindlessly. So, but he didn't go out with that intention, but that's kind of what happened. And he felt guilty about it.
But
Yeah.
sharks are real. Sharks are real.
In the book,
Probably
did the
did.
shark get with one of the water skiers? Because I feel like he should have. Maybe like bikini wearer number 5 or something.
A shark and a jet skier can fall in love, but lower they make their home.
It might have been after that girl in the beginning, the naked girl. I don't
People only thought she died. She faked her death.
know. All right, guys. This is going to be interesting. Is Stephen King overrated?
Ooh.
And what is everyone's favorite and least favorite films based off of his novels? Jen, you go this time. I know you're gonna have
give me the hard
I
question.
know you're gonna have a field day with this one.
Questions, they should be shot. What I think of Stephen King, I don't think he's over. Yes and no. This is a 2-part answer. It's a yes and no question. I think I think Stephen King, he does like the it's real. The hype is real with Stephen King for the most part. He's written a couple of my favorite books that have touched me and, you know, have made a profound effect on my life. But I think on the downside of Stephen King, he is not perfect. There are some books that are not very good. And he also, like, there are for everyone knows Stephen King, but people don't talk about other authors that I think deserve the credit just as much. And I think he outshines some of them. Not his fault. He's always shouting out authors and stuff. But I just think I wish people would say more than Stephen King when they say they like to read. That's a given. Everybody loves Stephen King. I defy a person to have at least one book book or a movie, even if they're not a reader, that they don't love that's based on a Stephen King property.
Absolutely.
That's a good point.
So yeah, but I also think he outshines and stuff because there's a lot of great authors that are just as good as Stephen King. For me personally, like when people say Stephen King, who I would tell you and suck the dick off of is Jack Ketchum. Jack Ketchum is the one that I fucking love, and yeah, I do think he's better than Stephen King. I know, hot take, but Jack Ketchum is my darling. So yeah, so he's not overrated, but he does outshine. But I think the hype is real because, like I said, can anybody say that there's not some sort of Stephen King property they don't like, even if you're not a reader? I don't think so, and not many authors can have that kind of credit.
Yeah, absolutely so.
And as far as my favorite and least favorite King adaptations, my favorite ones, Pet Sematary is my all-time favorite one. That book has it's in my top favorite 10 books of all time, my top favorite 5 books of all time. Apt Pupil is another one that I fucking love.
Ooh, yeah,
sorry. It is. It's a great one. Nazis. I'm German, so of course I love that. And it's one that doesn't get talked about a lot. And it's horrifying. And the thing that I love about Apt Pupil is it's not the Nazi that's so horrifying. It's this all-American wholesome kid that is more terrifying than the Nazi. And I thought he did genius with that.
Yeah. Because it's bad enough because of the Nazis in the film, but that kid was, that kid was terrible.
Yes, and in the book, that's what one of the FBI agents that's followed him, that kid creeps me out, and that's a good way. And the movie really, Ian McKellar gave a great performance as Doosander. I fucking love the movie, and I love the short story. I love the short story. Also, Needful Things. I love Leland Gaunt. Like, if there is a devil, man, I hope it's Leland Gaunt. God, I love Leland Gaunt.
It makes it very attractive. There's no doubt about it.
Yes, he's great. Like he's
kill them all. Let God sort them out.
Yes. I thought so. Those are some of my, and I mean the list could go on, but those are some of my favorite standout books of his. And then there's some novellas. But the bad ones, yeah, there are a few bad ones. Hot take, guys. I'm not a big fan of it. It took me forever to read that goddamn book. I had to stop and start that book so many times, and it was a slog to get through. I know a lot of, and even with the fucking gangbang rape thing, gangbang, not rape, but gangbang in the book. It took me forever to get through that book. I'm not a fan of it. I don't particularly care for the movies either. It's just not my bag. So.
How about you, Trivial Theater?
So I'm a actually massive Stephen King fan. I ran across a good chunk of his books, and I bought them all, whether I had seen them or not, or whether I had read them or not. Like his short stories to me are above and beyond anything, and the fact that he gives a lot of filmmakers the chance to do them, like with his Dollar Babies, I think that's incredible. That's a great way for filmmakers to be able to try their hand at something, even though Stephen King stuff is not always the easiest to adapt. But I'm with Jen though. I think there is a very large section of him that is overrated, but there's also a lot that's not. I mean, the man pumps out how many novels a year? Like I used to be able to keep up.
Yeah, I know. I can't either.
Oh God, I am so far behind.
Didn't Dan make a comment about between him and Martin about how Stephen King can make up a novel and it takes George R.R. Martin almost years to come up with a sentence?
That's awesome. But yeah, I guess I can respect a lot of what King does, like just the ability to capture that 70s to 90s generation, and not to say he doesn't do it now. But there's so much of that in that time, and he does such a great job. But the man's ability to write love scenes and finishing off novels, oh God, I'm not even going to get started.
There's a story that I love that kind of sums up King really well. Cujo, and maybe it's not his best book, but the thing that I love is he wrote Cujo when he was on a fucking cocaine drug bender. And I always think, God, most of us can't even write our fucking name. And he wrote not only a story, but a pretty damn good one. I always think of Cujo and Pet Sematary as companion pieces, because if you want to know what a mother's grief is like, read Cujo. If you want to know what it's like to grieve as a father, read Pet Sematary.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So I mean I guess that answers the question if he's overrated. The man on a fucking high coke binge wrote a really great story. Maybe not his best story, but a damn good one.
Oh, absolutely. And you look at how he does villains. Like if you look at the religious lady from The Mist, or
Yes.
Percy from Green Mile, they are characters that you just don't just like.
You love to hate.
Excuse me. You hate them. There is no even if people have good in them. They are pathetic losers.
Ace Merrill is another great one.
Which one?
Ace Merrill.
Oh yeah, very much. But and his commitment, like one of my favorite King books is 11/22/63. It is a book stop or a doorstop of a book, but it is so good. And I haven't seen the Hulu miniseries, but just the effort and time and research that went into that, like on things large and small, it's a fantastic book. And it's not horror per se, but it brings in, he tells this story, but then he brings in elements of like the King universe, the stuff that you kind of get a feel for in Dark Tower and such. And there's just that level of attention to detail that I just love with what he does. Yeah. As far as his best and worst favorites, the Dr. Sleep Dead Zone, which is just like the book and the movie, fantastic. 1408 is a really unique one. I don't know, like that one. Yeah, absolutely. And just the fact that he took like real stories and kind of brought them into this world, I find so interesting. And The Mist is just, it's so heartbreaking. The movie is just, oh my God,
I consider the Mist one of the saddest and most powerful endings ever in movie history.
Oh yeah, it's gut wrenching.
Cannot get an ending more like that I haven't seen any that powerful in my lifetime.
Oh, absolutely so. And again, his short stories, there's one in particular that he does and it's not a movie adaptation, so I apologize for tangenting, but it talks about this guy who all of a sudden these random items start showing up at his house, and he didn't make it to work on 9/11. And it's
I've seen that one.
Yeah.
I've seen that one. I've read that one. I know which one you're talking about. Yeah.
It's fantastic. And those short stories are, for me at least, what the essence of King is. Not so much adaptations of those. They're fine. They do what they need to do, but there's nothing quite like his short stories. Those little, 20-page bangers.
Novellas.
Yeah. On the worst side, oh God, where to start? Dreamcatcher is
Dreamcatcher.
Oh my God.
That is a large from beginning to end. Although I do love some of the imagery that he uses. Like he pictures the mind or the like your memory as like a massive warehouse, giant library, and I love that. It's such a great connotation. But the rest of it, from shit weasels to
fairness, guys, like he wrote that right after he had that accident, so he was going through a lot of shit, and I think he that was his book. He was working out some shit because he almost died.
Absolutely.
So absolutely. I it's a bad book, but I kind of give it a little bit of a pass because he probably was working through some shit.
Oh no, absolutely, he was working through some
even
shit.
Worse movie.
Exactly.
Oh God, the movie was something else, I'll tell you. But
I like Dreamcatcher.
More power to you, man.
I didn't read the book, but I saw the movie. I know why people complain about it because of the weasels.
No, it was just overall like the way. I mean, it's not a great adaptation of a not amazing book by any stretch. I mean, it's well adapted for what they can, like what they did with it was like, okay, how do you show this stuff? That wouldn't have been easy, but it's a thing. And more power to you, Monty. Absolutely more power to you.
Yeah, it's totally cool.
Oh, like, absolutely.
That's the thing.
Yeah. The other thing was, and again, I talk sex scenes not being King's forte. There's bits inside Under the Dome. The concept is great, but that's
another book I couldn't get through. I couldn't finish that one.
It's a thing. There's one scene in particular that's just, and I know what they were going for. I get that, but I just, God, I just can't. Did you see
the TV series?
Yeah, I did, and it goes in a completely weird direction compared to the book, which it's got to adapt its own thing, but they take things from the beginning and the end and the middle and kind of smash them all together, and it's an interesting adaptation, and I give him credit for trying because King is not simple to adapt.
No, he's not. He's not.
You're either going to get like the best of the best, or you're going to end up with like, I don't know, shit weasels.
Another book that's really good that shows the example of how great King is Dolores Claiborne. Now there is some differences between the book and movie. In the movie, it's just the daughter, and in the book, she has sons with it. But I think showing a mother's love for her children, and like she takes things, but she isn't going to take anything when it comes to her children. And if she has to kill a son of a bitch to protect her children, that is what she's going to do. And I could really vibe with that because I'd totally be the same way. The only part about that book that I have a problem with, there's a line that says she feels bad that the pedophile suffered. She just wanted to kill him. She didn't want to hurt him. Stephen King got that wrong. I would want the son of a bitch to suffer. I would want him to hurt and be in misery before he dies. If I'd been doing it, I would want him to suffer. That's just me. And you wonder why I'm not married.
Hey, you know what? But as a mother, you do have that. Like he can write from experience and all the rest, and you can see in a lot of his books. They're set in Maine for the most part. He writes about what he knows. A lot of his characters are writers. Mm-hmm. So he writes what he knows by and large. And obviously he's expanded out beyond that, but by and large, it's where he sits. Yeah. So to take it from a mother's perspective, it's not going to be his first ability by any stretch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That line, that I love the book, but that was one line that bothered me when the character actually feels bad that he's suffering. And I'm like, I would hope he would. I would try to plan it where he would suffer. But that's just me. And I'm not being funny by any. If one of them hurt Jake or Christian, yeah, I would. And if I couldn't do it, I would hire someone who could.
You heard it, Round. You don't fuck with Jen's kids.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. I believe it.
And I bet you don't fuck with Jen's kids when it comes to their protection of Jen either.
Yeah. I've got really good boys there. I have wonderful boys.
Yes, you do.
They kick a rather large amount of ass, no doubt.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sorry, we got off track here, but but it just shows the greatness because he really does show the love of a mother, and from a male's perspective, that was good. He just got that one thing wrong, but other than that, it was a perfect book. And movie. The movie was also incredible. And Misery.
Oh yeah. The hobble scene will never not like.
I know, even when you know it's coming, you just clench. I clench.
Sing it in slow motion.
And it doesn't show that much, It's just so powerful, the suspense.
Mm-hmm.
But
it's
I was
like
telling Marty
fingernails.
Golds.
Oh, sorry. Apologies.
Oh no, I didn't. I'm sorry. I didn't read the
No. All good.
I just said a couple golds. I told Marty couple golds.
It's like the fingernail scene from Stir of Echoes.
Yeah.
Monty G, what are your thoughts on this subject?
I've enjoyed Stephen King since I started reading his novels back during the 70s. I think I read Pet Sematary first, and I was like, wow. I was fascinated by that novel, and I just kept reading Stephen King novels. He really hasn't disappointed me much. I could not get into the dark. What's that? The
Dark Tower.
Dark Tower. I couldn't get into that. I don't know what he was trying to attempt to. I don't know what you're trying to be like. He was trying to do like, boy, why are my names? Tolkien with the Lord of the Rings, or even Martin's, because I didn't really know anything about the dragon stuff or the Game of Thrones until probably a few years later when I learned about Fire and Ice and all this other dragon stuff. But trying to do all that stuff, it's like, what is he trying to do? Is he trying to be like Tolkien and do a Lord of the Rings thing? I just couldn't get into that. I don't know, maybe because something was missing out of that one. When it came to the Dark Tower.
Well, and I can appreciate the fact that he's tried to connect all of his all of his books within like a greater universe. And I think that's what Dark Tower, the series, was. It was kind of that centerpiece where everything else kind of spiderwebs out from that. But yeah, there are certainly failures and successes when it comes to those, without doubt.
Do you think that he's overrated, Monty?
I don't know if he's overrated. I know almost everyone enjoys all of his books. I have not heard anyone say he's a bad writer. I know some of the books he had some of the books he's written out probably sometime that come out now are not that good. good. But but most of the time, almost everything he's written, it turns out very well. I think that Hulu series. I think Emma from Spooky Astronaut. I think she really loved that particular adaptation that was on Hulu. Hulu, even though it's not really horror, but the crazy things that are happening I think what the premise is and what happens in the TV series. I think that's just more of a hallucination or a fantasy land in someone's mind.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I think Jen is a really good question there because and she makes a really good point about how much he dominates the genre.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes
Very
to
much.
horror fiction, it's like he's by far the biggest. There's like no one anywhere near his league.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Well, there's
because
no one.
like he pumps out so many novels, like you said, once like every month, and he's always on the national bestseller list. And then the next thing you know, the movie's coming out 2 months later, and it's like constant. But with that being said, I don't think he's overrated because he does have some great stuff, some classics, So it's hard to say he's overrated, but maybe he pumps out too much stuff, But some of my one of my favorites that I read when I was a kid, and I really thought he did a good job with is Cujo.
Yeah, Cujo's great.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Cujo's good.
And it was pretty
Cujo makes me
very
cry
close
every
to
time I
the
read
book,
it.
I think,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Cujo is
the
one
go
that
ahead.
makes me cry. Oh no, I'm sorry. I just meant Cujo's that one that like every time I read it, I bawl, and I've read it a bunch, and I still every time we get to the ending, I'm like bawling.
And the way that Dee Wallace portrayed the mum in that, I mean, my God, like in the movie version, just
awesome.
Incredible.
Mhm.
Just the I mean, yeah, absolutely so.
Yeah, yeah. It's a heartbreaking book.
And then the obviously the big controversial one is my favorite, The Shining. I know technically it's not the most accurate, but I just think maybe it's more Kubrick's movie because what he does with it is so great. In my opinion.
He did not like what Kubrick did to his book.
Yeah.
He did
But I
not like
love
it at all.
Have you guys ever seen the documentary Room 237? It kind of talks about the conspiracies around Kubrick's like The Shining and the things that Kubrick.
I've heard
about it. I haven't
I've
seen
heard about it. I haven't seen it.
It's an interesting documentary. Like so they basically talk about like the different conspiracies that like Kubrick, like, because he was known as a lot of stuff, and like they say that he shot the moon landing and all that kind of stuff. They take all of these conspiracy theories, some very valid and some that are a little
out there.
Oh God, out in beyond left field. It's out in the rough someplace. But that's a fascinating documentary. Like, as long as you go in with an okay, there are both, some very interesting ones and some ones that are just a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. So, but it's an interesting watch if you ever are interested in some of the things. And like, you can, if you're in that mindset and you watch it enough, you could certainly see where they're coming from. I don't personally believe most of it, but it is an interesting watch, if nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I've heard that he supposedly helped NASA fake the moon landing.
Yeah, and there's bits like where Danny is wearing like the Apollo sweater thing.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, oh, well, that's this and that's that, and I mean, you have to take a good chunk of it with a large grain of salt. But who's to say? Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
It's fun to chew the fat on.
Oh, absolutely. And it does raise some interesting questions, and it gives you a more in-depth look at the way some people perceive that movie, which there is a lot to look at, and even upon rewatches, it's hard not to catch things that you didn't previously catch.
Mm-hmm. And as you get older too, I've caught a lot of stuff that I missed as a kid because I saw it when I was a kid, and so I picked up on a lot of stuff that kind of went over my head.
Oh, absolutely.
You can take it a lot of different ways. Not to mention Kubrick was just insane with his actors. Not just Shelley Duvall. He did it to all of his actors. Yep. I know Tom Cruise working on the one he did with Nicole Kidman.
Eyes Wide Shut.
Eyes Wide, thank you. Eyes Wide Shut. Like he came away with it with an ulcer. He did. So, yeah. And poor Shelley Duvall.
Oh, yeah. Well, even the way that he protected. Yeah, oof. Even the way he protected the kid that played Danny. I apologize, I can't think of his name. But anyway, neither here nor there. But like he was very protective of him. He made sure that he was like both, drove adult actors to ulcers, and was like, you shall not harm this child. To the kid
the duality of a person. It's interesting. Yeah, I find that interesting too, because he did it to all of his actors, but he had a soft spot for kids, which it probably wasn't too bad of a person.
Yeah, it was Danny Lloyd.
Oh,
yes.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Danny Lloyd. Yeah.
I also thought Salem's Lot was really good.
Oh,
a
man.
very good adaptation
Yeah.
of the story.
Yeah, he's a fantastic looking
It's
vampire.
like the scariest TV miniseries that I could think of.
Absolutely so. The guy Mason, the guy that played what's his name's familiar. Can't think of his name. Shit.
I thought I was bad with names.
Yeah, no, absolutely. He was a well-known actor.
You mean James? He played James Mason.
Yeah, James Mason.
Yes.
Yeah, he just he's got that swarmy but very, very charismatic kind of thing going on, and yeah.
Yeah, I love that scene when the guy's like in the rocking chair. Look at me. And the Mr. Barlow is really scary. One of the scariest vampires. I know it's obviously a nod to Nosferatu, his look and everything.
Plus, he was blue. I mean, how many times do you get a blue vampire?
Yeah.
Well, if you turn them on a lot.
But even with the way that they do his teeth, I don't remember seeing teeth like that previously. Unless was Nosferatu? Did he have those?
That's how he was like in Nosferatu.
Oh,
That's what the vampires were. Yeah.
I apologize.
Oh no.
My attention was elsewhere, not on his teeth.
You were to something that was blue, maybe?
No, what? Huh? No. What? No, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't have
a bad influence on you.
Huh? No, but what?
I corrupt all the guests.
Did y'all guys see the TV version of The Shining with Steve Weber?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
Steven Weber was really good. I couldn't say if he was better than Jack Nicholson, but I thought he was really good. Rebecca De Mornay, on the other hand, oh boy. Yeah.
I will say I appreciated what they tried to do with the miniseries. And obviously coming from King, you think, okay, this is his baby, and Kubrick, is this well-known director, and then he takes it and goes in crazy directions, and you're like,
It's interesting because with both The Shining, the remake of The Shining, and the remake of The Children of the Corn, the sci-fi, both of those films were really, really faithful to the books, and people didn't end up liking them. It's interesting that the ones when they try to be really faithful to King is sometimes when people are like, I don't like that.
Well, and it goes back to the fact that some stuff, like with King, there are ways to adapt it. And it is kind of taking that core of the things that seem like they're the most successful are the ones that take the core of the idea and run with it, but then kind of take it in their own direction versus,
But I like that idea though. If it's done right, that's why I feel Kubrick did it right. He took
absolutely
the basic idea and did his own thing.
Yeah. Kind of combined.
Exactly.
Take the best of both worlds, kind of.
Exactly. And that's, again, with Dr. Sleep, I think because he took the book, or Flanagan had to take the book, he had to take the miniseries, and he had to take Kubrick's work and kind of smash them all together into something that made sense with all three.
I know, yeah. And he did a pretty good job of doing it too.
Absolutely. I've seen all three multiple times, and they did a fantastic job. I think it is one of the, if you're going to have an adaptation, it definitely, it didn't get the love that it deserved when it came out.
I agree with you. I totally agree with you on that.
Rose the hat, Rose the hat, Rose the hat.
I wonder who Monty's favorite character was.
I need to see it. That's one I need to see.
Absolutely so. It's fantastic.
Now, some of my least favorite I think The Dark Tower was a pretty bad adaptation.
A lot of
Oh,
people
yeah.
think that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
They didn't have time to do it justice, I don't think, because you've got like what it was like a 12 novella book series.
Mhm.
I know, right?
I mean,
Yeah.
how do you that? I mean, and I know that they work within the means, and they go, oh well, movies are big right now. King is known with movies. We need to go the movie route, but to not give that some kind of miniseries type of deal,
It would have been better.
And better
Yeah.
for a miniseries, yeah.
Mhm.
I agree. Christian said though they didn't completely fail. He's a massive fan of that book series, and
Yeah, no.
he says the movie isn't as bad as what most people will have you to. It's just you have to be a massive fan of the series to kind of get what the movie was doing. And he's not talking down to people when he's doing that. He just says if you're a really big fan, you'll kind of see what they were trying to do. It's just I think the movie made the mistake that everyone was going to be a massive fan, and I think there was a lot of casual people in there, so they were confused.
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm not surprised. It's a guy kind of figures when I first heard they were making this movie, I said, wait a minute, isn't it like a 12 novel collection? How are they going to try to condense all that in just a barely probably a 2.5 hour movie?
Absolutely, and I don't even think it was 2.5 hours. I think it was maybe 2 at most.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But well, I know I was part of a Facebook group at the time, and around the time that the Dark Tower was coming out, and the back and forth when it came out, just of people, just going losing their damn minds about it, both from the positive and the negative. I mean, it was insane.
Yeah.
But that's also kind of like as long as people aren't being dicks about it, it can be fun to do that. It can be fun, but it's when people are being toxic and dicks that's when it kind of loses its fun. But it can be kind of fun.
There was a lot of dicks,
and not the good times.
No,
Not the kind
no.
we love.
We're talking about the kind that King writes, and they're not written well.
They're not strokeable dicks. They're not.
No. They're the spiky kind that come up and
Good
yeah.
boy.
Never mind.
Good boy.
And now the worst of the worst of the worst, the Langoliers.
Ooh.
Bronson
Oh.
Pinchot, though. Bronson Pinchot. Is anyone going to stand up for Bronson Pinchot and scaring the little
No.
girl?
No. Ooh.
Fuck you all. I like Bronson Pinchot. Fuck you all.
No, Bronson Pinchot is incredible. It's just the Langoliers that kind of blow ass themselves.
I like Perfect Strangers.
Literally.
Yes,
I mean, I like Perfect Strangers. Yes,
Yeah. Absolutely.
I like some of the other stuff.
Ridiculous.
I like
I
some of the other
appreciate-
stuff he's been in, but not the Langoliers. No.
I can appreciate what he was going for. Like, and I'm trying to think what I've been doing a rewatch of Twilight Zone, and I'm trying to think what it was that like the Langoliers itself is a great like basis for a story. It's a fascinating concept.
Mhm.
But yeah,
Oh,
it was honestly it was the CGI that kind of put me off the Langoliers.
Yeah, oh yeah.
A lot of people have said that. A lot of people say that.
And that was
You
really
were-
the only thing.
and I thought you couldn't top the paper mache spiders.
Well, it is a
Those
Stephen King
cartoon
movie.
wheels, baby.
Exactly. You're talking Stephen King adaptations of the mid '90s. The CGI and the paper mache spiders were some of their biggest downfalls.
Yeah.
Even the spaceship and the Tommyknock was more believable than the paper mache spiders and the Langa and those meatball things.
Oh, the Tommyknockers can eat a bag of dicks, honestly.
Yeah, that's another one. That's one you never hear people. I know why people don't talk about that one, but now that I think about it, no one ever brings up the Tommyknockers.
There's a
And I don't
reason.
ever know. I wonder why.
I mean, Cthulhu vagina, really, if we're talking about it from that perspective.
And you would think that I would be all about that, but even I'm like, no, dude.
There is a
grow
time
up.
and place for tentacles, and it's really not there.
Yes. Well, sometimes it is just not the way they're using it.
That visual still haunts me to this day.
Yeah.
Scott said,
Oh yeah,
there was some boys
I
on the
forgot
pod
Tracy
that was
Lord was
getting
in that.
screamed.
Oh god.
It turned on a kink for some kids. That's all I'm saying.
No, I would not at all be surprised.
Ooh, I like this. I don't know why I like this, but I like this.
You like bukkake? Oh well, I got a thing for you.
Oh
We
man.
need to make you a regular, Triv. We just need to make you a regular.
It had Tracy Lords in it.
Also good. Also very good. And just real quick, shout out to Cards Against Humanity for teaching me what bukkake was.
Oh, you didn't. I could have told you. You could have come to me.
I remember
I didn't know
you
you
said
back
something like
then.
that on the last time, didn't you?
So you didn't know what that was?
This was probably like years upon years ago. The first time I played Cards Against Humanity, I was an innocent before I got into horror.
If you're still confused, I have some movies I can send to you.
Oh, well, I
I bet you
appreciate it.
do.
Thank you. I think I'll stick to it. Since we're on the Stephen King thing, I think I'll stick to corn cobs in the back as compared to bukkake-baked Tommy Knockers.
You're more into the rib for your pleasure, right? I get it. I get the
Oh,
kernels have
100%.
that nice texture.
You know, if you're gonna do it, I think it should be pleasurable for all involved. So
Uh-oh.
Exactly. I feel
I don't
you.
even want to know what that is. I don't know what
probably
that is.
better not to ask.
John, you probably would get your channel taken down if I explained it to you right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's just say if
Yeah.
you're going for maximum overdrive, you want to aim for that.
That's a good way to explain it.
I do what I can.
And it's keeping on topic.
Yes, it is. That's what I was aiming for. Oh God!
Can we keep her, guys? Can we keep Triv? Can we keep her?
As long as it's not in someone's sex dungeon, we're okay.
Marty wouldn't let me. Marty would be like, "No, Jen."
Ah, damn it!
No,
Keep you in the box like the gimp.
no. Me and Triv would have the lay of the house. We'd keep Marty in the box.
Absolutely. I know, and I don't take up a lot of space because I'm basically just two-dimensional.
Yeah.
Could change my wardrobe at the drop of a hat. It's pretty fantastic.
One big happy family, guys. One big happy family.
Absolutely.
Oh boy.
All right, guys. Next up, what are some books that you would all love to see translated into films that haven't been yet? Jen.
Me? Okay. Well, now I know this book will never get translated into film because of the subject matter, but I would, and I'd like to find a really good director to do it. I don't know who could do it, but there is a book called Exquisite Corpse, and it is a very, I love fucked up books. You guys won't be surprised.
Oh, come on.
And but I'd love to see that movie I'd love to see that book get turned into a movie, and it is about a necrophile cannibal and also pedophile, and it's got everything. And it's a very, very disturbing book, and I love it. And I don't know how you would do it, especially like the opening chapter. I can't even tell you what the opening chapter is about because, literally, you might get taken down, Sean. So, but it's a really good movie, and it's a very dark book. So that would be one that I would definitely.
I mean, put it this way: the title alone is probably it's just crazy.
It makes a necromantic look like a Disney film, and I'm not being funny. And I'm not.
Wow.
But it has a lot more meat and subtext than you would think. I know you guys are thinking this is probably just schlock, but it actually has a lot to say. So. Yeah.
But schlock doesn't mean that it doesn't have a lot to say. It just means that they didn't have the budget to bring their initial vision to life.
That's true. Very, very. That's a good way to put it. That is a good way. But yeah, that is one that I would definitely love to see to be brought to screen. There's a lot of books that I would like to see. They did a book called Mommy that I would. They did do a movie, but it was like you said, not enough budget. And Patty McCormick actually did it, and the book is called Mommy. Yeah, and she's kind of playing like a grown-up version if she had grown up from the bad seed. And it was good. It was a good idea to have her, but that's where all the budget went. I would love to have been a big mainstream movie. Because it's really good. Final Girl Support Group. That is one.
Yeah.
That is one, Jen. Yes.
That'd be cool, yeah.
Yes. That is one. Yes. So those are some of my picks. What about everybody else's?
Do you want me to go?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
So it's not horror. I feel like a good chunk of my stuff is more horror adjacent than actually horror, but there's an author called Eric Larson, and he does a lot of nonfiction historical stuff, And he did this one called The Devil in the White City, and it has been in production hell for like probably 10 years, but it is a fantastic thing. So it takes place in 1839. It follows the Chicago World's Fair, but while that's happening, there's also like one of the first noted serial killers of the era, like a psychotic serial killer who built this like monstrous hotel, and basically the entire hotel is set up to kill people. And he either killed 20 people or he killed 200 people. It's not really known, but it is a fantastic book. And it's been with Scorsese and DiCaprio, and apparently it's still in production hell, but I'm sitting there going, come on!
Live, damn it, live!
Oh my God. But if you want just a fantastically interesting, like it's not a short book. It's probably, I think, like 500 pages, but it corresponds with the building of this fair that is, it's all based in fact. And this serial killer that comes to Chicago, like he would fit into modern society. Like he swindles and like does all these crimes, but then he kills all of these women and stuff. And then like sells their sells their skeletons to institutions of learning. And like
I've heard about this.
Nice.
I have heard about this.
It is a fantastic book. The work and the time that went into it is just like, it is a brilliant book. Like anything by Eric Larson is fantastic, but the best, it's H.H. Holmes. It's exactly H.H. Holmes.
That's what I was gonna say. I would like to see something about that story.
Yeah, but if you get the chance, like, and I know that I think there are probably like documentaries on it, but the actual Devil in the White City book is just, if I could leave you with anything, I leave you with that, because that book is just beyond amazing. And his other work, like there's one called Dead Wake, and it's the same thing. Like this guy killed his wife, and the way he like takes her out and does all this stuff, and it's based in fact. I'm sure there's some elaboration on some parts, but by and large, it's a true story, and it's just it's amazing and fantastic. All of his stuff is so good.
I'll definitely add him to my to-read list.
Woohoo!
Nice. How about you, Monty?
Yeah, there is an author by the name of William W. Johnstones, and he's written a series of books. Perhaps three of my best ones is called The Devil's Kiss, The Devil's Heart, and The Devil's Cat. And especially The Devil's Cat, because I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is about this man. I think his name is Sam. He supposedly is blessed by God to become his avenging angel. He has some of the avenging angels, Michael, and he and his woman named Nadia and their son named Sam Jr. They go around the country fighting Satanist groups. And one of the book called The Devil's Cats, all of a sudden we find out that there's a whole bunch of evil cats. Evil cats, and they had to stop the apocalypse from coming because there are a whole bunch of Satanists are coming around. Would love to see that turn into a movie.
It sounds kind of like Sleepwalker, a bit like Stephen King's Sleepwalker.
Yeah, a little bit like Sleepwalker.
I'd like it.
That's one of Lynn's favorite.
Are they incestuous, Monty? Are they incestuous?
No.
Oh.
No. Sorry.
Man.
Dan makes a good point. Garth Marenghi, his like they did The Dark Place, which was kind of a spoof of like Stephen King stuff, like Kingdom Hospital, and fantastic series.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Another one I'll add to the list. Okay. Yeah.
It's actually well, this is a book, but the initial thing was a series on the UK, and it's on YouTube. Highly suggested, though. It's fun and it's just goofy as hell.
Okay, I'll definitely check it out. I've got some stuff to look forward to.
It's a couple I would say might be cheating a little bit, but they're actually comic books.
No, that works.
No, all good.
I always wanted to see a big budget, like Marvel version based on Vampirella.
Ooh, there you go.
So originally, Hammer was supposed to do that before they, died out. So yeah, I'd love to see that. Maybe bring a little bit of Hammer flavor to it.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to see that. And there was a comic series that Clive Barker did called Saint Sinner.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to see that turn into a movie. I really enjoyed that when I was a teenager.
Mm-hmm. Very cool.
Nice. Aw, kitty.
Christian's cat.
Sorry.
No, Christian's cat. He's mad because
Aw.
Christian's gone. And he's stuck with me, which I guess anyone would be.
Oh, gosh. You are an excellent pussy.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, Marty, you might get some mail from Marty. He might get a little take umbrage, but that's okay. He's just going to have to accept our love.
Exactly. Well, you know, the love between a horror host and a 2D avatar cannot be understated.
Yeah.
It's not the same love as a horror host and an Irishman, but you know, you do what you can.
There's room enough in my pussy for everybody.
If I had a 3D one, I would say the same thing.
Somewhere in Ireland, god damn it.
I know.
His ears are tingling. He's like, wait a second. Someone's talking about Jen's pussy.
We're gonna hear about this tomorrow.
I expect details. Sean, I am so sorry.
He's used to it.
Oh man, I'm glad you're holding this much.
Just wait, yeah, next time, Monty. It'll be your turn.
Oh, boy.
I mean, Monty, you know.
Yeah, I forgot. There's a comic book that I would like to see turn. It's called Hack Slash.
Oh.
I don't know if anybody knows about this. It's about this woman who was attacked by this what's her name? Her name is Cassandra Cassie Hack. Yeah, no. She somehow gets involved, and she gets attacked, but then she turns the tables on her attacker, and then she teams up with this guy named Vlad. And he's some big, muscular man, and they go around attacking and killing slashers.
Very cool.
Interesting.
Nice.
Yeah. So I think Gory from Horror actually she got me onto that book.
Nice.
Very cool.
That sounds like a good one.
It does.
All right, guys. Who are your favorite horror authors, both modern and classic, Jen?
Why do you keep coming to me? Okay, so I've already touched on, but I'm gonna have to for a minute, and I apologize, guys. But if you guys have never read Jack Ketchum, oh my God, now he is my darling. And sadly, like he passed a few years ago, and it really that was a death that really I didn't know the guy except through his work. But God, I really was bummed out when I heard he passed. He wrote, if you're familiar with any of his work, he wrote a book based on the case about the woman that took in the little girls and did horrific abuse in the 50s and stuff. God, I cannot think of her name, and I apologize, guys. But it's based on an actual case, and that is his most famous book, and it is so good. But he also did another book, and it was actually turned into a movie called Red, and it is about an old gentleman, and all he has left in this world is a dog, and he lives in this small town, and these punks killed the dog for fun because they were going to rob him, but he doesn't really have anything to rob, and he tries to get justice, but because these kids are rich punks and their families have like the biggest pool in the town, he tries everything to get justice and can't, so he takes justice into his own hands. And if you're an animal lover, I like that Jack Ketchum handles it with real sensitivity, and there's scenes where it describes the dog, but it's not in an exploitative way, but it really manages to hit you in your feels. There's another book about 9 months that he also did about a woman who's going to an abortion clinic to get an abortion, and she gets kidnapped, and not only does she have to keep herself alive but the baby, and it's a very interesting play. That's a short story, and it's just, he's an amazing author. I fucking love Jack Ketchum. Uncle Jack. Jumping off from Uncle Jack, another one who was a friend of Jack Ketchum, Edward Lee. If any of you guys are familiar with Edward fucking Lee, he is a little bit, Jack Ketchum's a little more highbrow. Lee's a little more let's go as fucked up as possible. He wrote a book called Headless, and it's a movie too. If you can find the movie, oh man! And Headless or not Headless, is about these hillbillies that literally rape corpses and stuff. And it's a tradition. And there's about his son and his grandpa, and it's so much fun, guys. It's like fucked up, but it's like hillbilly trash. Like Rob Zombie should adapt some of his books. He's just a fucking amazing. The next author I have, I'm sorry, I will try to be rapid because I know I don't want to bore you guys too much. Matt Shaw. He is another one of your extreme. If you love your extreme horror, you seeing the theme here, people. If you love your extreme horror, Matt Shaw is another author that I would totally. He doesn't get his praises sung about. He does books called 9 Months. He's done all kinds of books, and they're very, very, very fucked up. Another author. This will be the last one, I promise. Is let me make sure because Wrath James White. Oh my God! Now he is one I found his books through just an accident, and his books are really good. But can you guess what his books are? Fucked up. But if you can't leave anything, and also Richard Lehman is another one, and I feel like if he would be somewhat familiar to you guys. He's done a ton of things. He's really, if you like Ketchum, you'd probably like Richard Lehman. So those are some right off the top of my head. I could go more, but I don't want to bore you guys. So yeah, if you like fucked up stuff, come and talk to me. I can give you a list.
You're the foremost expert on effed up.
Yep.
Thank you.
I love you.
Those are the nicest things you guys have ever said. Thank you. Aww.
They match your awesome pussy.
Again, somewhere in Ireland. God damn it, Trip.
God damn it, Trib.
Quit talking about my girlfriend's pussy.
You're right. And at midnight meow is so cute, though. I can't help but not say that. But
I don't mind.
I fear that mine are pretty conventional compared to what Jen had. I mentioned it before, but Eric Larson, his stuff isn't specifically horror, but there are horror elements, more so based in true crime than anything else. But there's still the way he describes stuff and the way he researches is fantastic. If you're into historical nonfiction, he's a great jumping off point for a lot of really interesting books. Devil in the White City is a highlight. Thunderstruck and Dead Wake are also incredible. He's constantly putting out new ones, not like at the Stephen King rate, but decently. On the subject of Stephen King, Joe Hill is fantastic.
Oh, Joe Hill, yeah.
Nosferatu is just an awesome book, and it has been adapted. It's not my favorite adaptation, but the book is freaking phenomenal. Horns is
like,
oh god, sorry.
You didn't like the TV show?
Yeah, exactly. The AMC show.
Yeah. You didn't like it?
It was okay. I guess it's one of those things where like you have an expectation in your head, and that one I really latched onto. So that there was probably not going to be an adaptation that did it justice in my head. And that's just me being pedantic more than anything else.
I have seen the show.
Yeah, it was.
I thought it was okay. You know,
it had moments of good. I just like again, it's something like my own stupid expectations more than anything else. So, Horns was fun too for what it was. But otherwise, Shirley Jackson, like a lot of her stuff, The Lottery, House on Hunt, or no, what is it? Hill House. A lot of really cool stuff. I'm a big fan of like old school horror. H.G. Wells, some of the stuff that he did was really fantastic. And I'm a massive Twilight Zone fan, so Richard Matheson. And then you get stuff like I Am Legend.
Right.
And again, I apologize. It's a lot of old school.
yeah, that's okay.
And there might be someone here who isn't familiar, so I actually like that because you might be turning somebody onto that.
Oh yeah, you can't go wrong. Shirley Jackson, her stuff, I had to work up to it. Like it was something where I had to read it a couple of times to really feel it out and to really get it. H.G. Wells to me was a pretty easy like starting place just because like The Invisible Man is just amazing. And his other stuff is cool too. Richard Matheson talks a lot about very interesting human conditions. If you like that, he writes so much Twilight Zone, and it's a great jumping off point to kind of see the way that he writes and kind of how he does stuff. Plus,
hey, Joe.
Sorry. Plus, you just get some fantastic just things in Twilight Zone. But anyway, yeah. So that's kind of my list.
That is some really good authors too. They're really good authors.
Yeah, because I was going to mention Richard Matheson and also Shirley Jones. What another author was Dean Koontz, mainly because of a movie I saw that was based on his novels called Watcher. And
Ooh, there you go.
I thought it was a decent movie, decent adaptation because I actually read the book, and I thought they did a pretty good job of in combining it. Now, of course, unfortunately, they decided to make more watching movies. Yeah, think the opposite of man's best friend when it comes to watchers.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you guys ever saw the horror movie Man's Best Friends with Lance Henriksen.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. Think of that, the opposite of that movie, where the dog is highly intelligent, but he's good, as opposed to how Max is crazy.
Mm-hmm. Monty, if you like Dean Koontz, I would recommend a book of his called Whispers. You might really like that one. Do you have a phobia of cockroaches?
No.
Okay, then you'll like it.
I think I might have read it, or I don't know.
Yeah, they made a movie of it too.
They made a movie of it. I think I might have saw it.
Yeah, the book's better. The book goes into a lot more detail, but yeah, I would recommend it. If you like Dean Koontz, I would recommend a book called Whispers.
Yeah, because a lot of his work has been adapted into movies. The Demon Seed, The Passengers, Phantoms. Yeah, Phantoms.
You were killer in Phantoms, bro.
Halfback was the bomb.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on, Joe.
When it comes to me, I would go with a lot of the classic guys. I don't have too many modern ones to say, honestly.
That's okay.
No.
One nobody mentioned really, Thomas Harris, all the Hannibal novels.
Red Dragon, a hot take. Red Dragon is my favorite out of that series for the novel wise. I read Red Dragon in like 2 days. I was sick, and oh my god, I would like be fever dreaming and then read a little. It was an interesting experience.
The movie was actually pretty solid too. I've not read the book, but I really enjoyed the movie.
Yeah, the movie's
solid.
The movie's good. The book's better though.
Yeah, the book's better. Yeah, he sticks. The movie sticks close to the source material, but but the book's definitely better.
Mm-hmm. Then you had a lot of people that liked the Manhunter better than the Red Dragon adaptation.
Yeah, they're both okay. I just like Red Dragon better, mainly because I think it's Anthony Hopkins and then what's
Edward
his name?
Norton?
No, not Edward Norton.
Ray Liotta.
No, not
the killer. You mean the Tooth Fairy?
Yeah, the Tooth Fairy.
Was it Ralph Fiennes that played?
Yeah, Ralph Fiennes. It's mainly because of him, and Ralph Fiennes is the reason why I like Red Dragon better than Manhunter.
You just want a giant tattoo on your back.
Yes.
No.
Oh, come on. Let's be honest.
No, don't have a big tattoo on my back. No.
You want a big tattoo on your front then? Okay, good to know. I'll get you scheduled.
I want a big 4-leaf clover on Marty's penis.
Okay then. All right, timestamp this at 1:48 there, Marty, or 1:46.
I felt really weird about Silence of the Lambs because Buffalo Bill, but loved the red. Oh.
And that's one of the greatest adaptations ever, in my opinion.
Put the fucking lotion in the basket.
Oh, he's phenomenal.
Even Hannibal Rising is good.
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah.
A lot of people hated that, though.
I didn't hate it. Something was missing out of that. I don't know.
Then the TV series, Hannibal.
TV
pretty good.
That was decent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I didn't think you could get another great performance out of Hannibal until Mads Mikkelsen did it.
Yeah,
he did great with it.
It was good.
Mm-hmm.
I had a friend that did an adaptation. He did a Shakespeare adaptation of Silence of the Lambs, and it was amazing. It was
nice.
Really
sounds great.
See that. Oh man, that sounds awesome.
Should you check out Narcotic Casserole? I think it's up on YouTube. I'll see if I can find the link for you.
Nice.
I'd love to see that. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. If nothing else, I can hook you up with him, and he can because I know they filmed it. So, but it is it's done in black box theater, and it's fantastic.
Oh, I bet it is. That is awesome. Genius.
Absolutely so.
Then you had, of course, H.P. Lovecraft.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Had a lot of great horror stories. but maybe the adaptations weren't quite very faithful. I
That's
love
another thing.
Reanimator, but it isn't quite.
Yeah, it's not
Takes
quite.
quite a few liberties.
Yeah, crazy. Yeah, definitely way different from the source material. He's, I don't know. I guess his work is so very hard to adapt when it comes to H.P. Lovecraft.
Absolutely. I
Mm.
will say we kind of, this is kind of circling back a bit, but you can see where King takes a lot of, at least in his short stories, he takes a lot of like H.P. Lovecraft like elements. Like if
Yeah.
you look at From a Buick 8, or there's a bunch of short stories that kind, I think it's one called The Letter N or something like that. But there's a lot of those short stories and kind of like lesser known novels that have that Cthulhu and Lovecraft inspiration, and
Mhm.
they're actually pretty amazing.
The Raft could kind of be one of them because you don't know what the fuck is in the water.
Oh, absolutely!
Oh
That
yeah.
when they adapted that was actually that was really well done. I'm not
It
gonna
was.
lie.
Hmm.
No, it was. Speaking of Lovecraft, though, Christian said not when I was coming up with these questions, I wanted to bring this up, but he said, but I don't know. I'll let you guys think. What is he a little bit of a? Is he an author? You kind of go because he had some beliefs that yeah, he's a little bit problematic if you know a little bit about his personal.
Yeah.
He was a feminist, but he also was a little bit of a racist. Not a little bit of it. We're gonna call a ham a ham. He was racist.
Oof.
So like, does that take away from enjoying his work? Because Christian's a massive fan, but he says he feels icky reading his stuff.
And
That's a
it
good
always
point.
comes back to the question of like, can you say like, and it's
The
a
art from
question
the
that
artist.
everyone has to, yeah, it's a question that each reader has to look at. Can you separate the art from the artist? And
Hmm.
I think that's ultimately where the question lies is, can you turn off that part of your brain enough to be able to look at his stuff empirically, or is it going to be something where because obviously your beliefs do color what you produce.
Exactly.
So
That's that same thing like we were saying before with Roman Polanski.
oh yeah,
Exactly.
very
Great
much.
filmmaker, but it's like, do you feel dirty and disgusting watching his movies?
And it might
And
be a
then
thing too where like one, if you watch a certain movie of his before you find out about those things, and then
Yeah.
everything you watch after that is colored by that, but because you have this attachment to what came previous, it's such a subjective thing, even from project to project.
Yeah.
It is. And then it depends, like if you like the person and then find out, this is music, but Aaron Lewis, like it's been a while. That song really means a lot to me. But now I hear Aaron Lewis talk, and I'm like, oh, why couldn't that have been somebody? Linkin Park have done that song, or somebody else. It's like
Yeah.
I want it off my iPod because I don't like you now, but the song means something. So I think it's hard. It's easy to dislike someone who has bad beliefs when you don't particularly like them in the first place. But if they make something that means something to you, it gets a little more complicated.
Absolutely.
So
Oh yeah, Dennis Wheatley, The Devil Rides Out. Great.
Hmm.
That's a great adaptation.
very cool.
Yeah, it's a good point. Toku go go.
That's Sparky, by the way.
I was just
Hello,
gonna say that.
Sparky.
Wait a minute, is that Christian?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
yeah. I thought
Sparky.
that was Christian.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's Sparky.
Yeah, it's hard with Lovecraft, especially since he has named some entities in his work after racist slurs. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little problematic. Like I'm not the biggest Lovecraft fan, so it's easier for me not to have that much in it. But if you really do love his work, it's a little harder.
Hmm.
Well, and he was quite and I'm not defending him, but just generally, he was quite a complicated individual to start with.
Yes,
From what I've read about him.
Yes,
Yeah.
massive racist, but a very big feminist. So
Right.
take the good with the bad.
One good-ist, one bad-ist.
Yeah. He liked women apparently.
Oof. Oof.
All right, guys. On the last topic of the evening, it's what are some of the best horror comics and graphic novels that have been turned into movies or television series? How about you, Monty G?
30 Days of Night, one of my favorite vampire movies of all time. I mean, they did a fantastic job of converting that into a movie. Great cast, great practical effects. Love the vampires. I think mainly because of all the crap that went on with Twilight. we finally got to see vampires in what most people who love vampires like myself want to see.
Mhm.
No, not vampires that sparkle.
Really? Oh, come on, man.
No, because I told
Gotta
I
tackle
with
that one
eight
time.
with their 8-pack abs.
Fuck the vampires, it's the werewolf that I'm after.
No.
That's not the reason why Jake's named Jake, but you know.
You just like the tail, don't you?
Uh-huh. I'm all about that tail.
and because I was talking to Joe and Jason about their positive spin about Twilight, because I said, I'm going to watch Twilight. It's about vampires. It can't be that bad. And I said, well, and overall, first of all, the movie's just not for me, for a true vampire fan. It's for adolescents and pre-teenage girls.
Yeah.
That's what it's made for, though.
And that was made for. Obviously, Stephanie Meyer.
That was a teen novel, like,
That was a teen novel, and that's what Stephanie Meyer wrote it for. And then she wanted her vampires to sparkle in sunlight. That's what she wanted. But for me, vampires don't sparkle in the sun. No.
They explode in the sun. There's a difference.
Yeah, exactly. Or start smoking.
another one of my favorite graphic novels that got turned into a TV series is called The Strain, and that was a fantastic series. Loved the characters, loved the different aspects of vampirism in The Strain, because they actually, I'm pretty sure, I don't know if Jen ever saw this, they don't actually have teeth. They have this little thing that comes out the mouth that sucks your blood out.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure, you saw it, didn't you?
Yeah.
Kind of like a proboscis or proboscis.
Yes.
Like a butterfly or
something like that. But
it looks like a penis.
Yeah, I was trying to be nice.
I know.
But was it a corkscrew?
That would hurt.
Yes.
And
Captain Obvious over here. That
and
would
these
hurt.
two of my favorite characters was this guy who was a Nazi that got turned into a creature. They called them the Stragolis. I think it's a German word for vampire.
I believe it is.
Either German or Jewish. It had him,
think
and
it's German.
him. And then he was a Nazi Germany who discovered the vampire, discovered the Stragolis, and he became one. And then his nemesis was a guy that he met in Auschwitz when he was a prisoner there. But they were lifelong enemies, and they were two of the best characters in the series. And I really loved it. Really loved the show. So you haven't seen The Strain, definitely check it out.
It is good.
Nice.
How about you, Trivial Theater?
So I'm terrible when it comes to graphic novels and comics. I kind of started this from a place of like the movies that I loved when I was a kid, and then kind of worked backwards from there. Darkman and Spawn were two of my go-tos. Like I absolutely adore them.
Darkman, nice.
Like, and all three of them, like Liam Neeson was incredible in the role, but Arnold Vosloo was really good in the role too, having to take over from that. Exactly. It was just something like, for the time, it was not something I had seen before, and it had that great, like, there was just that thing about 90s bombastic effects, like that green
I like
screen that was just
movies.
Yeah, exactly. It was insane. I mean, even from a perspective like The Crow, it's a lot the same. Like the first one of those was just, it was so good, and just like the way that they interpreted it for that time, it was, you didn't have comic book movies, and you had these three that were just fantastically interesting and visual, and just, they did their own thing, and I loved them so much.
And it made comic books cool. Like, there was a stigma that, if you like comics, you're not that cool. And then those kind of came out, and then they're like, wow, these are cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And again, just the way that they portrayed all of the stuff that they did, I just when Liam Neeson got mad, just the way that they visually did that still sticks with me to this day. And I need to do a rewatch of the Darkman series, because it was so instrumental in getting me towards a love of comic book movies and horror movies.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I will still say, if it wasn't for Blade and Wesley Snipes, they would not have made Spider-Man. And
Oh,
we're gonna have
absolutely
the
not.
Marvel,
Yeah,
we're not
you're
having
probably
the Marvel
right.
MCU.
Blade was next level. Like for what
Yeah.
for everything else that was out there at the time, considering comic book movies and even at the time vampire movies, there was nothing like Blade, and there was something so special about it then and now.
Yes. And fucking Wesley Snipes. I mean,
Oh
man.
man,
Yeah.
It had some cool horror elements
Eric?
too.
the quips, just the
Yeah.
quips.
Mhm.
You trying? What was it? You're trying to roller skate uphill? Was that the no? What was the term? There was one. Oh God, what was it? There was one particular quip, and it was something like, "Y'all, whatever he was trying to do, and you're trying to rollerblade uphill or something like that." Or
Mhm.
I don't remember what it was, but it was
Yeah,
so
I know. Yeah, I
funny.
can't remember the line either.
Yeah,
I know what you're talking about, though.
Yeah, I
Very
have to
cool.
watch it just to
Some
see
great
that.
choices.
absolutely. Well, thank you.
How about you, Jen?
Okay, so I'm probably like I threw this question in for all of you guys and for Marty because like I'm not gonna front. I'm not as well versed in the comic book area or any of that, but I do have there is one
Oh,
manga
that's
I
it.
read
That's
in
it.
and I'm sure you probably already know what it is. I fucking loved Audition after I saw the movie before, and then they're like, there's a manga of it, and I'm like, oh my god, that fucking blew me away. And I'm like, okay, maybe there is something to these things. I mean, how can you not love like that? Just shows how good it is. That fucking movie. I mean, and from the graphic novel, the manga, it's just fucking amazing. And she's like, yeah, and she has her fucking Nazi razor wire, and she's so delicate. She's in her BMS gear, and she's so delicate and feminine, and that's what I love. And I also love, but there's also some meat to that because like you could say she's a horrible person, but then you hear her backstory and you think, how else could she have been? Like, really you have this horrible situation. So that one is where it kind of like, okay, maybe these things are cool. And the other one, and this one Marty got me turned into, was the sadness, the comic books for the sadness. Oh my, he's like, Jen, trust me, you'll like these. And oh my god, they're so fucked up. They're for people like me.
Oh yeah, when I first saw the sadness, I said Jen's going to love this.
Oh yeah. And Jen, you were right. Jen fucking adored it. And Marty's like, check out the comics because like he's like, the movie's good, Jen, but the movie's tame in comparison to the
Oh
comics.
yeah, the comics. Because when I first saw the sadness, I didn't know it was based on the comics.
I didn't either to Marty.
And then when I looked at the comics, I said, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are violent. Oh man.
Yes, they are. They are like children,
not
death of children, Monty, death of children. Yay!
And
And
they're
other
not
fucked up
violent
things.
either. They just frat out, just disgusting.
And
mean,
so mean spirited. And I mean, that
just
the best way
that one
possible.
line, I always forget this line when they're beating the crap out of this guy in the movie, and the guy gets mad at the guy. He said, "You nit, but you made me."
I was almost finished.
I was almost finished. He was pissed off. He's about to have an orgasm, getting his ass kicked.
Oh, I love that scene. Me and Marty did a watch along of and stuff of that one, and oh god, I was having so much fun. I was going wee, and Marty's like, "Yeah, I knew you'd like that." But oh yeah, I would highly recommend if you're like me and if you like to go into the dark nihilistic things. Yeah, the sadness and the movie, but the comics are even more hardcore. But the movie is beautiful. The movie is like a fucking dance. Like I know people said that Terrifier was the most brutal movie of last year. I'd highly disagree.
What?
I
Really? Oh, come on. Serious? People said that about Terrifier?
Yeah, Terrifier 2. They said that was, they said it was the most bloodiest movie of last year. And I mean, it's bloody. It's a good movie. I'm not knocking Terrifier 2.
No.
But sadness, it just did it so much better. Much better.
Art and the Clown has nothing against the sadness.
No.
I've not seen the sadness, but I wouldn't have Terrifier was bloody, but I wouldn't have put it as the bloodiest movie of the year. Maybe that's just me, but
there's a lot of people that said I didn't think so either. I thought it was good. I thought it was fun. I fucking love Art the Clown. I'm all about Art the Clown. But a lot of people thought Terrifier 2 was really bloody, and it was bloody. But
absolutely.
I mean, Art does what Art does in Terrifier 2, but the sadness.
Yeah. And it's like a dance. Like when you see the movie, you'll know what I mean. It's so choreographed, so beautifully. It reminds me of Argento. They make gore beautiful.
Nice.
So,
mm-hmm.
I think the sadness might be streaming on Shudder. I think I could be. Don't hold me to that, but I think it's on Shudder. I could be wrong, but it's on Shudder. I think. So, very good movie.
And that's a nice thing too. There's so many of those movies that you wouldn't have been able to catch even 5 years ago, and now you can you can catch them on Shutter,
Mhm.
which is fantastic.
Yeah, yeah, and there's so many movies it's hard to keep up. Even if you are trying to keep up, you're gonna miss a
Yeah.
few.
Is there more? I hope there's more to it than just the gore, right? Because I hate when
No,
the movie is just
Oh,
all
no.
gore and that's it.
Oh
No,
no, Sean! It's
there-
a great movie. It's a
yeah.
love story. I take it as a love story because it's these two people that are separated, kind of as, and it's very timely for the time because you could take it for a metaphor for the pandemic because everybody has to kind of separate and stuff, and they're trying to get to each other. It's in a weird way Romeo and Juliet. Like everyone will probably roll their eyes at the scene, but maybe Monty, you kind of get what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I
Yeah.
mean, it's kind of a love story for me.
It
Yeah,
was for me too.
yeah, but it does have a story. It's not just about let's do a lot of crazy stuff and have a bunch of gore in it. No, there is a story connected to it.
Yeah.
Right now, it's playing on the Roku channel and Amazon Prime.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really good. I mean, the gore is beautiful, and that's what a lot of people will take away from it.
Oh,
but
yeah.
there's a lot of story, and it's one of those movies that you ask yourself, "What the fuck would I do in this situation?"
Yep, you definitely will.
Yeah, I would strongly recommend it, guys. It's a good movie.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, you'd probably like it, Sean.
Well, one I'd have to say is was good for a while, but it dragged out way, way too long. You probably know what I'm talking about. The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
I was with
still
them
have
for
never
like
seen
the
it.
first 4 seasons. I was with them, I think. Maybe 5. Then they lost me.
Fair.
Yeah, and here's the problem with The Walking Dead, and it started off pretty good, but I think because I don't know if AMC got greedy with the success of The Walking Dead, when you have a story like The Walking Dead and then you try to expand it by creating too many episodes,
Yeah,
and
that's
then
the main thing. Yeah.
too many episodes, like after season 6 for me, because right after when they introduced Negan, when they finally introduced
Yes.
Negan in season 6, and then season 7 and 8 when they decided to do the all-out war storyline from the comics, that's when it went downhill,
I agree.
because that was a very important aspect of the comics, was the all-out war. But then and then it's like, instead of just doing it like 13 episodes, they decided to do 18 and like 20. It's like, what are you guys doing? And you have a bunch of filler episodes, and you have it with characters that no one cares about. You can have one episode where it ends where you see like one of the main characters in a very terrible situation, but then the next thing you know, you got to wait 2 other episodes before you can get back to that one, because we're going to do this episode about this character that we haven't talked about in the past 5 episodes, because for some reason we got to fill up time, because we got to do this one, and then we got to come back to another character in the next episode because we haven't talked about this character for a while, and then we finally come back next episode. Oh, we're going to pick up with Carol and Daryl again.
And then we're gonna break for like 4 months or whatever to get the other half of the story.
I mean, I really had no problem. I think after Scott Grimes was removed, and they had I think it was Alicia something King, I forget, Angela King, when she took over as showrunner, I think that made some improvements then. And then I really didn't have a problem when they made the final season into 3 parts, because they wanted to make sure that they got the most out of it. So, but yeah. The Walking Dead, like I said before, it started off like gangbangers, but then after season 5, it started to, I would say after season 6, after Negan was introduced, season 7 and 8 just went downhill.
Mm-hmm. I still haven't seen it. Like, I'm a bad horror fan. I still haven't seen it. Christian has, but I haven't.
Is it time for The Walking Dead? Was waiting for this to come up. Are you ready for Negan and Negan and Maggie's new show, Christian?
Oh boy, they're gonna make that a spinoff, huh?
Yeah, they got.
How many spinoffs are there now?
A lot.
There
was Fear the Walking Dead. There was the Negan one.
We had Fear the Walking Dead. We got The Walking Dead Worlds Beyond. Now we got The Walking Dead Dead City. We got the Daryl one. Then we got the Rick and Michonne one. It's about about 5 of them. I took them way before most other people. So I don't even know.
Christian didn't even make it to Negan.
And I'm
They
okay with that.
you never read the comics, Christian?
I think he read some of them.
He
I
probably
don't
did.
think
He just doesn't.
he read some of them. I don't think he went all the way with it. I think he liked it, but he wasn't in love the way some people are.
And you got bored with it then, yeah, because Negan didn't get introduced into the 100th issue of the comics. That's when he first issued, and I think what happened was people who didn't read the comics when Negan killed Glenn and Abraham,
Yeah.
and only people who read the comics knew that in issue 100 he does kill Glenn, because Abraham got killed probably a few issues beforehand. But at the TV show, both Abraham and especially Glenn were very popular characters. Everyone got pissed off about that. But if you read the comics, then you would understand why they killed both characters. Both characters, Abraham was already dead, and Negan killed Glenn in issue 11. So I didn't have a problem when he killed those two characters. But unfortunately, because everyone hated what happened, they stopped watching it.
Yeah.
And I think that's what happened.
I didn't have a problem with that. It was good. It was shocking.
Yeah, it was because it was still shocking because and plus the fact that earlier in the season 6 they did a fake out death of Glenn, and everyone hated that particular fake out death of Glenn. I says, why are you going to do that? Because I know Robert Kirkland. He said when he did the show, there were some mistakes. There was some corrections he wanted to do in the comic book. He wasn't do in the TV show. Like in the comic books, Rick loses his hand, but in the TV show, he doesn't lose his hand. He doesn't lose his hand. That's one of the corrections he wanted to make. He wanted to correct.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
I was more upset about Tyrese dying because, like, the build-up for his... I never read the comics, but, like, the build-up around his character was how he had this gigantic hammer. I was so excited. He's going to have a big sledgehammer. It's going to be awesome. And then he comes out with this, like, normal hammer that's got an extra long handle, and it's like, what?
I hate it when a guy's package doesn't match what he was advertising. I fucking hate it.
I know, right? It's pathetic. It really is pathetic.
I kind of, because in comics, Tyrese gets killed by the governor, but in the TV show, Herschel gets killed by the governor, and Tyrese dies. He dies later on in the season.
Yeah.
And then like I said, there's some certain changes that they do in the TV show as opposed to did in the comics. But I think what everyone hated was when in season 7, because in season 6 we don't see who Negan kills, and at the end of season 6, so in season 7 when we finally see who he kills, not only does he kill Abraham, but he kills Glenn, and everyone got pissed off about it.
Honestly, I was surprised that Glenn, and not to say that like the character was fun and interesting, but like I felt like they faked out Glenn's death so many times. It's like, okay, come on. When is he actually going to be knocked off? Because it just every single time it seemed like he was making it back.
Because I was saying to myself when the season 6 ended, I said, I wonder if they're going to kill off Glenn now, because I know, like I said before, Robert Kirkman said that he wanted to make some corrections as far as the TV show when he didn't in the comic books. So I figured, well, maybe he's actually going to let Glenn live. But then when that happened, when he killed Abe, because at first he was just going to kill one person, but when something happens throughout the middle of the show, and then Negan kills Glenn, I says, "Wow, he killed two people off." But like I said, since I read the comics, I had no problem that he killed off those two characters because, like I said, they actually were killed in the comic books.
Right. You can always tell when someone does like a big long soliloquy. That's when they're probably going to be knocked off.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think because when Scott Grimes was removed as showrunner, and then I think Angela King took over, I think that's when the show started to improve more. Worlds Beyond, a lot of people didn't like that. It was okay. I like the fact that you added some characters, but nobody liked that at all. Fear of the Walking Dead. It's interesting now that they brought back now that Kim just I forgot her name.
Was a good point, Christian.
What do you say?
Of all the fake deaths for Glenn, really got on my nerves.
He almost died 3 times before he actually died.
Yeah, the one underneath the dumpster always stood out to me.
Yeah, that was a lot of people did not like because I knew he wasn't dead, because all you see, because I knew that the guy landed on top of him. When you see the guy lands on top of him and he falls, and I knew that was not his insight he was pulling up. There was a guy's insight he was pulling up.
Right.
I said, no, Glenn's not dead. Kim Dickens, who plays Madison Clark
Mhm.
in Fear the Walking Dead, she came back at the season finale last year, so she's back on the show again.
I will say Stephen Yeun was a great actor. Like he
Yes.
played it well. Like
Yeah.
the character could have stuck around because Stephen Yeun played him like
Oh yeah,
so incredibly well.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah,
because-
there was that thing about just the multiple deaths. It's like, okay, come on.
yeah. Like I said before, he was a very popular character on the show, and that's like I said, everyone was pissed off when he was died.
Yeah.
Yeah, what are you going to do?
Gabriel could have eaten a bag of dicks, but that's kind of me going, he was kind of an annoying character. And I know he played an important role in the show, but I'm just like, dude.
And now, see, that's funny because in the comic books, I think during the Whisperers War, he actually gets killed. He gets devoured by walkers in the comic books, but in the TV show, he lives.
Of course he does. He's just that annoying. They look at him and go, you know what? We're not that hungry. Let's move on. I'm not going to say that I yelled at the screen to make him die, but I might have yelled at the screen to wish him dead.
Been there.
Nothing
I had
against
a
the
kind of
actors. Oh, sorry about that, John. Apologies.
No.
I had kind of a love-hate with Negan because I thought Jeffrey Morgan did him so well, but I felt like they dragged his character on forever. Like, come on, enough already.
I was just happy that Jeffrey Dean Morgan actually got to live beyond like a single couple of episodes.
Yeah.
Well, he's a very important character in the comics because he has a very interesting because the way his arc is in the comic books sort of plays the same way in the series. But although in the comic books we really don't see him apologizing to Maggie like we do in the TV show, because in the series finale for The Walking Dead, he actually apologizes to Maggie for what he did to Glenn. When he did to Glenn, but he doesn't do that in the comic books, and also in the comic books, I think after the Whispers War, we don't even see Negan again until the last issue of. I think we don't even see Negan again until the final issue of the comic books.
Speaking of Stephen Yeun, Christian, have you seen that show? There's a new show he's in where he it's crazy. Like some lady cuts and he goes after her, and then the whole show becomes this war between the two. Like they get involved in each other's life.
Yeah,
just because this lady cut him off in traffic and gave him the finger.
It's not Unhinged.
Okay.
No, it's like that.
It's like that, but it's a comedy version.
It's more involved than that.
Oh, I liked fucking Unhinged. Fucking Russell Crowe, man. I don't think the Pope movie's going to be very good, but because Russell Crowe's in it, I'm going to give it a watch.
I don't have much hope for that.
I don't either.
I mean, maybe he'll give some gravitas to it at least.
I hope that's would be the reason I'm watching this, because of fucking Russ. If you've not seen Unhinged with Russell Crowe, it's not a good movie, but it's a fun movie.
It's fun.
Yeah, I loved Unhinged. Yeah, the TV show is called Beef.
Okay.
Yeah, you might like it, Jen.
Oh,
it's
got it.
kind of
Okay.
like that.
I'll check it out.
Yeah, it's he and this other woman named Ali Long. They become and do some type of road race, and all of a sudden it consumes their lives. It's almost like that movie that starred Ben Affleck and Stephen A. Jackson.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Uh-huh.
And because of a traffic thing, some type of a traffic accident. Next thing you know, both Ben Affleck and Stephen and Samuel Jackson just go after each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
As you do.
I was thinking of Unhinged Day because someone took my at the stop sign.
What's up, Trash Dash?
It's a good movie. He was working. I swear he was working out because he was going through the divorce at the time. And that scene with the lawyer, I feel like he just had that put in specifically for his anger at lawyers, because I don't think he was too happy with lawyers at that time.
I bet.
Wouldn't blame him. Well, and that was the first movie to come out, or one of the first movies to come out post-COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was. It was fun. It was fun.
Oh yeah, it's fun. Yes.
Then there's one, it's a huge one. I don't know if you'd consider it horror, but it's certainly gothic. Obviously, The Crow.
Yeah. Little movie.
Are they still have? I'm trying to think. Did they come out with a reboot of that, or were they
Bill
going to?
Skarsgård. Bill Skarsgård's gonna be in it. Oh my
It's it's supposed to come out, isn't it?
It's gonna come out, I think, this year. Like, I wasn't gonna watch it, and then Barbarian has made me hot for the Skarsgård. Oh my god, I have a whole thing. I have a whole horror crush on Bill Skarsgård. Like, I think that's why the It movies didn't work, because they covered his beautiful face. Oh my god, Bill Skarsgård.
He's a handsome chap.
Oh,
Tell us how you really feel.
Yeah, I love Marty. I mean, I never leave it, but I mean, oh my god, hello, Mr. Skarsgård.
On a scale of 0 to fuck me sideways, where are you at?
You know what? But he doesn't have Marty. I think
It's not even words.
he doesn't have Marty's accent. Like, that accent. I mean, Marty doesn't have anything to worry about that accent. But yeah, but I mean, just to look at. Yeah. Hello.
You may want to double check. I think there's some steam coming off either that, or there's something behind you that's on fire.
Yeah, I love the Skarsgård.
Skarsgård.
Yeah, I'm hot for him.
Does he beat Brad Dourif? Did he finally surpass?
He's still on the because again, unlike Marty and Dourif, he doesn't have the voice they do. Like, voice is a big thing with me. I love to be talked to in intimate situations, and I'm sure you guys love hearing this. Yeah, I'm one of those girls. I need to be talked to.
Do I need to pull out my sexy voice for you too, or
your sexy voice works all the time?
Oh. Thanks, honey. I appreciate that.
Again, sorry, Sean. We can keep Triv, right? We can keep her.
Oh, why not?
Okay, yay!
What am I, a stranded pussy?
Exactly. Yay. We're gonna keep the pussy, guys. I know you two are married, so we'll keep it at my house.
I might be in trouble here, Monty. Help me out.
Oh man.
Well, there's at least half a country between me and Jen, so you don't have to worry about that so much.
Yeah.
I'm still lost in the corn, honestly.
Oh, Triv, you've been corny since I've met you.
Well, I do try to keep a cob in the right place. So,
And what a fine cob it is.
Oh, thank you so much. I do what I can to keep it nice and manicured.
Again, sorry, Sean.
Apologies. If you pick me up, I 100% understand.
Conference room in 5 minutes, Jen.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry. I'll collect my goods.
On that note.
So, how about them bears?
The bears.
Oh, bears.
So, any interesting plugs you'd like to do, Jen? I left that wide open, and I.
Well, I was going to tell you about my Auditor of the Year award. You've seen Everything Everywhere All at Once, but other than that,
Yeah, you walked into that one, Sean.
And we love you for it. Thank you.
Not in that way, because you're a married man, and I respect him.
Oh no, absolutely without doubt. Although I do have a plug that has a taco holder on it. That's always a nice addition. So.
See what happens when we get these two together.
Oh my goodness.
Serious Texasness, or it's just gonna. We've got so many things we want to do, but Christian's still in Texas. It might be a little while, so we have a review out right now for Missing, and we'll just try to. And as soon as he gets back, we're doing we have a really awesome idea how we're reviewing the new Children of the Corn movie. So,
Oh, nice. How about you, Triv?
I am in the process of rebuilding my theater after TYTD Reviews exploded it after on a run over on his channel. So hopefully in the next couple of weeks I'll have the new theater up and rolling. Definitely stop by because it's going to be fun. We're starting off with Blood Hook, which is a fantastically fun 80s movie.
Awesome. I've never heard of that one.
I warned you about messing with Dan.
Well, he messed with me, and believe me, I have things set up to make sure that he can no longer explode my theater. So that's good. Also, to answer the question of Trash Stash, yes, the animator's wrist gets tired, but I've built up a great deal of strength in that wrist, so we're in good shape.
It's the same thing as a gag reflex. If you got a good pack of strong Altoids, it sort of wears it down. Same principle.
Exactly. In the words of the producers, if you've got it, flaunt it.
Exactly.
No comment.
You had it done.
Monty.
Yes.
Monty. Oh God, I do honestly, Dan. I did not have it coming. You exploded my theater without any good reason. So screw you. Not literally, of course, because that would be rude.
I was getting a little jealous, Triv. I was like, wait a minute.
No,
here.
Dan, you are my one and only. I promise.
Okay, good. Because I'm a little jealous, like
Please don't be. He is nothing compared to you.
Okay, because I will, as I tell Marty, I will cut a bitch. I will cut a bitch.
Hey, if you want to cut Dan, please feel free. I will not have a problem with that.
How about Monty? What do you got coming down the pike?
Yeah, I was going to talk to Marty about this. I have reviewed my review of 65 is up on the channel right now. If you haven't seen it, checked it out. Yeah, I actually did enjoy it. Yeah, well, no, it's not earth shattering. It's not going to win any awards, but it was a nice, okay horror thriller film.
Nice.
Yeah, that's horror film. And right now, I'm trying to figure out what my next film will be from my series horror films from the 70s.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I'm trying to I might do either Orca or I might do let's see, I Spit on Your Grave.
Oh,
nice.
Orca's incredible.
Orca makes me sad. Orca makes me sad.
It is a sad one.
Yeah, it is. But I Spit on Your Grave. There's a lot. There's a lot to talk about. You know the history between I Spit on Your Grave, right? How that film came to be.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a fascinating story.
Absolutely. Excellent trivia on that.
Yes.
I mean, the story, obviously, it's not as trivial as trivia, but you know what I mean. So
yeah, I do. And I feel like that's when I get really upset when people say, oh, that's just, exploitative crap. And I'm like, if you knew why he made the movie, you wouldn't say that.
Yeah, you wouldn't say that if you know the movie, yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And people are straw man stuff incredibly easily, too. So
that's true. Very true. What about you, Sean? What do you got?
We'll be doing the Morbid Hour live stream later this month, and I have a few videos showing off my horror collection and stuff. If you want to check that out.
They're good.
Yep.
Very cool.
All right, excellent show, guys. Another great show. Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. Thank you to the Horror Miser Monty G.
Woohoo!
Jen from Jen's Reviews from the Grave.
Penis!
Oh, boy.
And our special guest this month for the second time,
Yay!
Trivial Theater.
Thank you so much.
We just need to keep her all the time. We must keep her, guys.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me on. It was such a fun time.
It was. You're always a blast to have. I always love playing with Triv.
Absolutely.
It's always good to have Triv on.
Well, it's an honor on my end too, so thank you.
Excellent. So everybody have a great night, and thanks for hanging out at the Horror Hangout live stream.
Yes, please stay safe out there, guys.
Bye, guys.
Peace out.